Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Canna Bear, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Mr. Amish, Sensual Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, the name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Flat Earth Travolta, J Mel's 24, Unimento, M, Iron 26, Endless, Golden McKiernan, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W., Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Flat Earth Debate Discord server, and G+, if I get that right, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Well, someone sent me a video with a trimmed out section that I assume they've stuck on TikTok with me talking to one of the guys on Earth Awakenings. Was it called Earth Awakenings? Their Rumble channel or whatever it was. I've forgotten the name of the.
No, that was something else.
I'm sure it had a similar name to the Discord server that we used to go into. Even still, it's like I say, it's a clip. I don't know if I should play it or not because it might end up getting me a copyright strike because he's stuck music in the background.
Is that the one that's in Master B with the atmosphere?
Yeah, I just listened to it before I started recording, and I was like,
Yeah, I was listening to it too.
Yeah, I just don't know if I should play it because it's got music on it, and it's pretty crappy audio. The recording's not great, so.
When in doubt, kick it out.
I mean, it's me. It's me on a debate that's well published. So I don't think anybody's missing out by me not playing it right now, but I'll probably put a link in the live stream. As a thank you.
What's happening with Q? Hold on, what's happening with QE? I seen a late message by him saying that there's not going to be ball busters either a couple of days or 6 months. He has a family emergency or something.
You know as much as I do.
Of course, I become a ball buster, and these are the results. I hope everything's all right.
I don't know what I'm hoping for. He hasn't told us much, has he? So, again, I echo that sentiment. I hope everything's okay. But as you say, you don't know what's going on if he doesn't tell you. Not that I expect him to tell me.
Well, QE is a very efficient guy, I'm sure. He'll handle it. He'll handle whatever has to be handled.
So Windows and not Microsoft, who'd it be? Intel did updates to this computer. So there's been a long ongoing saga with these particular chips where they're just pushing them too hard and they crap the bed, so to speak. Now, when I first got mine, I had a couple of issues with it, but because I was familiar with the platform, having had the other chip for a while, I just tuned my way around it and everything was great. Until they do updates, and then you're like, oh, great. Why is it now slightly overvolting it? I mean, I had put a core voltage offset on it anyway to get it stable, but then you go into hardware info and you're like, why is it putting 1.3 volts in it at 5 gigahertz? That seems a bit high. You think, oh, well, that'll be fine. And sure enough, it was fine, but it started stuttering when I was playing a game, and it started showing up the Wi-Fi symbol like it's losing the Wi-Fi, and I'm like, it's hardwired. Something's not quite right. And just by chance, of course, it'd been my motherboard's had an update, and my Microsoft, what is it called, Windows has had an update as well. So there's been a couple of changes. So you're like, oh, great. So I had to faff this morning. Everything seems fine now, but I have had to faff, which I never like doing.
I hate updates.
Yeah, especially when things change. You're like, oh, it works great. I'm sure I've said to you a couple of times, this system's working really nicely. So for it to then not start, I said to my wife this morning, I was like, bloody hell, why isn't it working properly so all of a sudden? Now, you don't think, oh, well, it's just an update. You know, you restarted the computer when Windows told you to. And same with the BIOS changes. You're like, okay, fine. It's given things specific labels now. It's saying if you're on an air cooler, it'll set it to these settings. And if you're on a water cooler, set it to these settings. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. I'll set it to what I'm actually using. I'm using air cooler. So then, like I say, I've made a change based on, what is it, Intel recommendations. There we go. Just don't want it to brick itself with some Windows update. You know what I mean? So if it does do something twitchy, I'll immediately tend to it. But I kind of hoped it would be over. You know, I was kind of hoping I'll never have to fiddle with it again. And I haven't for a long time. It's not like I'm fiddling with this thing every day like I used to be. But it would have been nice if I'd have just left it for a couple of years. But there we go. A couple of months is good enough, I suppose. And everything seems hunky-dory now.
I know with the phones, and like one time I rebelled and I did no updates, and that wasn't good either.
Nah, it's not, is it? You got to keep it up to date. You don't want it to be, you know, prone to viruses or security issues. So yeah, you don't want to keep your stuff up to date. Yeah, it just seemed like the changes they made in the motherboard were very similar to the changes that I'd made manually, if you know what I mean. But that means that you've then got to take off the manual changes that you've put on because they're now in excess of what you actually need. Very irritating.
Got pulled over last night.
For what? Speeding?
No. My sons like to go to the gym late because nobody's there. They got the equipment to themselves. So it's like maybe 5 or 6 blocks away. I give them a ride. And on the way back, as soon as I make the turn, I see a cop parked like coming out of a gas station right behind me. And that's not good because I have not re-registered my vehicle because I don't have $196. So my tags are expired because they put them right in a license plate. It has a date. So I'm like, oh, God. So the cop comes over, young guy, maybe 21. He's like, you know what? I pulled you over because your tags are expired. I was like, yeah, I know. He said, you know? I said, yeah. Just ain't got the money to register it again. I said, I don't know why. I bought the car. I only have the car a year. I thought when I register it, I got a whole year. But all of a sudden, I'm supposed to re-register it in 6 months. So he says, you live around here? I'm like, yeah, I live right down the block. I'm just bringing my boys back from the gym. So he goes, all right, give me your license and what's your insurance? I was like, I don't even know my insurance name. It's on an app. I'll try to find it for you. So he goes to his car. The black guy, young black guy, comes back and he's got the paper in his hand. So I'm like, oh, now I'm going to get nasty with him because he's giving me a ticket and I really can't afford this. So now I lose all respect. So he comes to the car and he says, I'm going to give you a warning. No, I gave you a written warning. But I thought he said a written one. So I was all ready to freaking get nasty and my son elbows me. I said, well, what's that? He goes, it's just a warning. Just as soon as you can, get it registered. I was like, oh, God, you're the best. You don't give me a ticket, I love you. You give me a ticket, I got no use for you. But that one would have been my fault.
Probably didn't give you a ticket because you didn't say, oh, no, really? Oh, I can't beve it. It's like, well,
Yeah,
pulled you over when they act all surprised, they're almost enticing you to do the same. Oh yeah, oh really? Oh right, I had no idea. Whereas if you go, yeah, I know, and he goes, oh, you're not going to mirror my surprise. You know, yeah, I know I'm doing something wrong. You caught me. In other words, you're subservient. You're going, you've caught me. Right? At that point, he's already, in his mind, mentally, he's already defeated you and won, hasn't he? So he doesn't need to give you a ticket to one-up you and show he's in charge. You've already conceded defeat to the guy. Yeah. Why? Why haven't you got tickets? Couldn't afford it. I thought I'd got 12 months. I hadn't. So I've just poorly, you're being subservient. That's probably why he didn't give you a ticket.
Yeah, I just told him the truth. I said, you do DoorDash to try to make some money. It's just not making enough. I can't afford it. So that was it. I mean, I wasn't going to lie because
And the other
if
thing,
it was maybe if it was a week or two past or a month, but it's been 3 months. So how am I going to lie about that?
and not only that, the other question he asked you was, are you local? Right? In other words, if I piss you off now, am I going to run into you in 2 weeks and have to deal with some grumpy guy that I've given a ticket when I didn't need to? I had the option to just give you a warning. I didn't. I gave him a ticket. The guy hates me forever, and I've got to work on this block because he's there, right? He's filling up there, right? So he's going to see you again because he knows you live 3 blocks down the road, and there's a good chance that's his beat. You know what I mean by beat? Where he walks around or does his patrol. Patrol, I think you call it. Right. So he doesn't want the locals that he's patrolling to dislike him. Do you know what I mean? Especially if he's young and new.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. You're right.
But he also,
it says my address on the license.
Again, something else you want when you're young and new is respect quickly, because you self-doubt says, will people respect me? I'm young and new. They don't necessarily respect the uniform. Sometimes people hate it, but will they give me the respect that I need to do my job? And when you gave it him, he was probably like, right, good job. Doing well on this beat. Happy. People are respecting me already. And you'll smile at him next time you see him, won't you?
Absolutely. Once you don't give me a ticket, I like you.
Yeah, but unless you don't get those plates done, you're just going to have to scrounge that money.
Yeah, I got to get them done sometime this week.
He did say as soon as possible. When a policeman says soon as possible, I take that to mean within 7 days.
Yeah. So I got to hustle. And I don't understand how this works. There's nowhere in society today should anybody get anything delivered to them for $3.25. Do you think that's fair, Nathan?
What, you got paid $3.25?
I have to do this delivery for $3.25 because if I don't do it and I decline it, my acceptance rate goes down, and if it goes down to a certain percent, then they cut you off.
Yeah, you do it.
So now
I was doing deliveries for less than that, right? When I was transitioning into YouTube, I was working part-time doing deliveries, but I was on a fixed wage, and it was garbage, and I was part-time. So I earned a pittance. But, in terms of the strain of the job, if I had a heavy load and some other guy who's full-time gets 2 light loads, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, he's laughing because between trips he can sit by the river, have a smoke, have his lunch, and then he goes on to his next delivery about an hour later and he gets a set amount of money. Me, part-time, less money. But they'll, more often than not, pile the work on to the part-time guy. So me, I've only got 1 shift today, so you can do a non-stop, back-to-back, delivery after delivery after delivery, rammer-jammer, ding-dong van, out you go. And you're like, why have I got the same every time I come, full van, and everyone around me has got 3 or 4 deliveries? What's going on? But that's how it is sometimes. But if you've got to pay your mortgage, you've got to pay your mortgage. You just do it. I mean, I did it with a lot of moaning, but there we go. You still have to get it done. But for me,
yeah,
it's
but
like,
you can't. You Nathan, I understand that, and I do it, but that's not even right. Nobody should get. First of all, if I was running this operation, there would be a minimum charge of $7.50. $7.50 is the minimum charge. That you could cope with. Sometimes $2.25, you got to go freaking 6 miles. How is that worth it for me? How is that worth it for me to do that? It's not. And I don't even know how it works because when I used to get DoorDash delivered to me, I tip. But even if I didn't want to tip, you had to tip.
Okay, when
Like
I
you
was
couldn't get out
delivering,
of the app if you didn't tip.
number one, when I was delivering, nobody tipped. Number two, I was earning about £9.50 an hour. Call it, $10, $11 an hour. Well, in an hour, you could have 5 deliveries. And one of those deliveries might be a bunch of bananas, because the people who are getting deliveries frequently had got like systems in place where they could just have as many deliveries as they want for as little items as they wanted, whenever they wanted. As long as they got a time slot, they could just have a bunch of bananas delivered. So if you're driving out 35 minutes into the countryside to drop someone off a bunch of bananas, only to come back into the town you've just come from to make the time delivery slots line up the way they want them to, when it makes no sense, you just had to do that because it was a corporate entity as opposed to you're self-employed and picking up jobs and you've just got a rating system. Well, for me, it was like, no, you do it exactly how we wanted you to do it. You take this route and you will be there at this time. Without question, you do it how they wanted. And you work out the delivery and it's probably £1.50 per delivery by comparison. Do you know what I mean? If you're getting, I don't know, 5 or 6 in an hour, which I was, you absolutely pouring buckets. You're carrying huge amounts of stuff because it's grocery deliveries. So each one could be 5 or 6 or 7 trays of stuff as opposed to one bag. And, I don't know, I've got no sympathy in some respects. I'm smiling while I say this because I hated doing it. It was just something I needed to do to transition from management and repping and, decent paid jobs into YouTube. So I had to do something that I could get part-time. And at the time, my wife worked at that particular store as a manager. So I was like, well, can you get me a job that I can do part-time? Well, you drive around the country as a rep. You can drive around delivering groceries. I'm like, oh, fine. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you're the same, right? You've driven around doing flooring so you could deliver McDonald's. You're like, oh, this is crap. But sometimes you have to just do what you got to do, haven't you? I've done some pretty crappy jobs in my time.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I got to do a full 7-day a week just to make. I have to make $1,000.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. You look at the numbers and go, I haven't done what I need to do. I am going to have to stay up till 3 a.m., edit a few videos, and pump them out over the weekend. And over the weekend, I'm going to have to edit a few videos and pump them out over the next week just to get the numbers back up. That's just not just financial numbers for me. I'm looking at a whole raft of statistics. Financially is the bottom line, obviously, but I'm looking at quite a lot of other things. So sometimes you can be ticking along quite nicely financially, but you go, oh, the subscriber growth isn't where it's supposed to be. It's never negative, but it's, you like want it to be at a certain place. Same with the number of view hours, same with the number of views. You're like, that seems a bit lower than it is. It just tells you it's got a little down arrow, which doesn't mean you've got like negative numbers. It just means where you had 30,000 last month, you've got 26,000 this month. You're like, oh, so the amount over the month is lower. That's why it bugs me when people like that guy came along and like, well, your last live stream had less than 1,000 views. So what? Like, some of them are over 1,000, 1,200, 30, some of them are 900, some of them are 800. On average, they probably make about 1,000, but it means nothing because it's one video out of 5,000. So who cares? It's like, yeah, you want to keep pumping out good material, but by the same token, it's like there's a whole raft of videos that continually garner views, and you're adding to that pile constantly, and then monitoring how the whole pile does, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that guy is very concerned with you, Nathan. Very deeply concerned with you.
I've seen it all before. GeoStreamer did it with me. It was like comparing stats because he'd got a video that had got a couple of thousand views, and he did the same exact thing. He's like, "You're not as popular as me." I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he compared 2 videos. I'm like, are you seriously telling me that you want to compare yourself to myself in isolation with 2 videos? I'm like, here you go. Here's my overall numbers for the last month. What did you do? Oh, just those 2,000. You're like, no, I absolutely dwarf your numbers. You're deluding yourself. But people want to take some stat in isolation and tell me I'm doing badly. You're like, you have no idea what my stats are. The other thing is I'm not obsessed with stats, but it's something I've been trained with through doing sales. You know, you've got to pay attention to what you're doing because and it's the same for YouTube in that respect. You earnings don't directly relate to those stats. You know what I mean? So if you don't keep an eye on the stats, your bottom line amount that you actually earn will always suffer because it's directly connected to it. So it's being trained in what to look at, and they give it you so easily. YouTube just present it for you on right on the front page of the stats page. You should go to that stats page, and you've got everything you need. And I monitor it every morning. I just go and have a quick look. What do I need to do? Do I need to pick up the pace to kind of sit back and relax today? You know what I mean?
That's exactly how my every day is. Because two of my teams are moving deep in the playoffs. The Knicks in basketball, the Rangers in hockey. And it's like one night it's basketball, the next night it's hockey. And because I'm on Central Time, it starts an hour earlier. So I got to get as much as I can get in by 6 o'clock. And sometimes I'm out all day. I come home with $80 freaking dollars. You know how depressing that is? I'm used to making $350, $400 a day doing my trade, and even more when I do a job on my own.
Yeah, I can totally relate.
Freaking
Yeah,
sucks.
At one point I was earning good money. My wife was driving a brand new sports car. I was driving a brand new sports car. I was buying expensive coffee machines, flying all over the world, living the high life, eating whatever I wanted. I had an expense account. I had free petrol. And then you go from that to, right, I want to have a family now and work from home and, raise my kids and be a bit more humble. And then you're scratting by just doing the thing that you wanted to originally free up your time, just to keep your head above water. But from what I garner from most YouTubers, that is the way of most YouTubers. Most fail because that is what they're faced with and they can't keep their foot on the gas. Or conversely, they keep their foot on the gas too long and burn out. They don't know where to take it off and take a break so that they can keep that perpetual motion of planting your foot as hard as you can on the accelerator and then stopping and having as much snoozes as you can squeeze into an hour and then getting back on the road and sticking your foot on the gas again. Some people just keep their foot on the gas and then just give up because they've just completely burnt themselves out.
Yeah, that's what it is. And it's not even that I could still do the work physically, not like I used to, but there's just nothing out there no more. Like in flooring, if you're not successful by now, that's it. Nobody's hiring I'm going to be 60 next year, turning 59 in next week. Who's going to hire me to do flooring?
Anybody that you ask that needs someone competitive and experienced that's got the right price for them, Neil. You've got a completely wrong attitude.
No, I'm talking about a company. Like I can't do this on my own. I can't. If I go to work for a company, like the last time I moved down to Alabama, I was a lot younger. I hooked up with a company and they started giving me work. I got a few guys, and I was pretty successful. I was making good money.
Is a sideline. So what you need to do is put some flyers on lampposts that you get somebody who's good at graphic design to do that is really eye-catching, and just advertise the basic services that you can offer, that you know are in your capabilities, list them with a phone number, and then see if you can build up a little sideline. That's what I would suggest you do. I mean, obviously take it or leave it. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying, I was thinking about literally, the only reason I can rattle this off isn't because I've just thought of it on the spot. I was thinking about it the other day and talking about you with my wife in the car, because I know what you do and what you're now doing. And it is akin to when I was in a transitional job with Tesco delivering groceries. You got to work your way out of that based on your skill set. Well, a little cheap advert would cost you nothing, and you could just get your boys to go and poster it all over lampposts everywhere. Be it handyman services or very specific flooring services, whatever it is you want to offer that you'll be capable of doing as a sideline, do it.
Yeah. This trade is dead. Dead freaking trade.
What is flooring?
It's not like plumbing. Yeah, I'm going to tell you why. It's not like plumbing, electrical, air conditioning, and heating. Those are necessities. People look at their flaws, and unless they had a flood, if they don't have to change them, they won't. I'm in a cosmetic trade, and
But
most of
that
the
means you
people
can.
down here,
That means that when you do want it, there's a limited number of people who are available to do it. Therefore, the price goes up, which means that you can be more competitive. For the people who do want that, there will always be a requirement for it. So what I'm saying is, if you can keep your existing punt going, driving around delivering, and you've got some means of advertising, it doesn't necessarily have to be flooring. You have to think outside the box a bit. What would people want me to come in and do that I'm capable of doing for a reasonable amount of money that's cheaper than.
yeah, well, it's usually general contracting, flooring, painting, sheetrocking. I do it all.
Right. So you'd be my man, wouldn't you? Because I can't do any of that crap. I can't. I always bugger it up. I always make a mistake, so I always get someone else to do it and pay them. So people always need those things, Neil. Always. And if you can just get a flyer together that's eye-catching with your phone number, there's a good chance you'll pick up a few side hustles from people who just want an experienced bod to come in and do a job. Well, we would be putting off doing this hardwood flooring in this dining room forever because it's all right. But if we can get it done for a good price, then you're the man, right?
Yeah. But you know what else I could do? That's a good idea. But you know what else I could do? And this is what I used to do in New York. I would take on jobs I couldn't even do, Nathan, and then I just sub them out. I don't make as much, but I still make.
Right, but you've got to
You
start
know
the
what I'm saying?
sideline. Yeah, so you start the sideline where you are, so you get familiarity with the general work that people are requiring. You adapt it. You start off small with a little flyer, see which services people acquire and which ones are profitable, and you build it up from there. Before you know it, you'll be doing what you were doing in New York. And ultimately, if you're getting a bit older, you're experienced in what jobs can be done, how much they'll cost, how quickly they can be done, how many bods will be needed. You can do all of that off your own back because you've watched it done 1,000 times. You probably don't even realise it. The graft, you're like, oh, I'm getting old. Why are you doing the graft then? Doesn't mean that you haven't got skills and abilities to put people in front of other people who need work doing. And there's always people who need work doing, Neil. So, you just got
Yeah.
to think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're not doing what matches your skill set. You're doing a fraction of what your skill set has to offer. But unfortunately, in a new area, you've got to actually take the initiative. Put yourself out there. I've seen it. The
Yeah,
reason I say a
totally. It
flyer.
totally changed.
The reason I see
What's
a
that?
flyer is because I saw a guy who was just trying to build his own artwork business, much harder than services that you're offering. So the way he did it was making a TikTok video showing that he was going out on the street, finding bad advertising flyers and redesigning them and putting them back without the person asking or knowing. So someone puts a tear off strip flyer that says handyman services available and like all those little cut up bits at the bottom with a phone number that you can tear off and they're stuck on. And he just gets that and does a full on redesign, makes it look really nice, and then plasters it in place instead. Yeah. But my point is that there's obviously people wouldn't do that unless they could gain business from doing it, because people still do it. They still do it here. It's just a slightly different way of doing it here. You wouldn't get away with slapping stuff on lampposts here. But nevertheless, if you've got something well designed, I think it wouldn't take you long, especially if you are older. I much, much prefer service bods that are in their 50s, 60s than I do in their 30s, 40s.
Yeah, I got to reinvent myself.
Yeah, you have. But based on your skill set. And farm it out, in terms of you've got so many people at your disposal that will help you to do things like that flyer. That would be the first thing I'd do. Decide what services you want to offer and get it up on a flyer that's nicely done. Like today. Do it today.
Yeah, because right now all I'm doing is hustling to pay the bills. Like a vicious cycle every month. All right, I got a week to make $500 for this bill, Like I just made the car payment yesterday. Now I'm on the go because I got to get the money together for the electric, and it gets very stressful.
Yeah, same here. Absolutely, exactly the same here.
And my wife works too. She works at the Target. It's a department store, but that retail is killing her. She can't even stand. She got something with her foot. She's on her feet all day. I'm like, look, if you can't handle it, just quit the freaking job. Get a different one. Like Eli's doing this insurance thing, and I think I'm gonna have her start doing that. Then she can work from home.
Yeah, my wife works from home. I mean, she works in a very demanding job for a corporate electricity company that want blood, obviously. But that's you got to do what you got to do, Neil.
Yeah.
I appreciate it because I'm in the same exact boat as you. So I'm sure other people who are watching can tell when I've got something going on because I'm moaning and e-beg more in my chat. I got shafted by tax. They told me no tax, no council tax. I'm like, woohoo! So you budget for that after they've told you in official letter form. Then the next thing you know, they're taking hundreds and hundreds of pounds out because they've got a direct debit. You're like, what is going on? They're like, no, you owe us lots of money. I'm like, you just told me I didn't have to pay you anything. What's going on?
Like, so wait, you don't get the child tax credit in England?
No, we do.
Because when I had kids,
we do. Hold on, let me
each
just
one
answer.
of my kids generated 2,500.
Oh, it doesn't give us anywhere near that. Yeah, you've got 2,500 quid a month for each kid. Wow.
No, not a month. I would do. Oh, you do it monthly. Oh, I got you.
In any event, we were doing that, or my wife was. I don't get any of that money. It all goes on classes and things like that. Well, it just all goes on classes actually for the kids. That's what we spend it on. Anyway, they changed the system, and my wife was like, "Oh, fine, I'll go through the rigmarole of changing it as they're cutting off one system and just changing it to another almost identical system with a different name." So she went through the stupid process of doing that, and part of it was, we'll assess how much council tax you need to pay. I'm like, fine. So we tell them all the details. I've got an accountant. She does all the work for them. And I hand it over in a meeting, and they're like, oh, I've never had this before. You've got all of the information I need. I'm like, yeah, I've got an accountant. She does all the tax work. I just give her all the information. She just does it. Here it is. And she's like, great. So she processes it all. I get a letter saying I'm so poor I don't have to pay council tax. I'm like, yeah, I am. So when they take shit ton of money out of your bank, you're like, I could strangle somebody. In the background, I got my wife. She's desperately trying to figure out what the hell's going on. But it just means I'm just coming up short like you. I'm now scratching, thinking, how am I gonna sort this out? Because when you're bobbing your head above water, something like that happens, and suddenly you're drowning. It's very, very frustrating. So yeah, I can totally empathise, Neil.
Not to change the subject, but what happened with that guy Matthias? I thought he was okay. He was behaving himself, and then he just jumped in the other day and started white knighting for Lumpy and lost it all again.
Some of these people seem to be in the similar type of pain that the Globers are in, and I don't know why. I want to get to the bottom of it, to be honest. It does strike me that they're stuck in flat Earth belief and haven't yet reconciled the fact that no, it is a done deal. It's all been measured already, and they're like, no, can't be the case. I don't like it. And maybe that'll always be the case. It's like with the sea sparrow. It's not that I don't like it. It's just I don't want to use it. And maybe they're the same. But all you can do is keep smashing people over the heads with it.
Well, my biggest concern about it, Nathan, is trying the method used trying to obtain the measurement to begin with.
Okay. You're using Earth.
Right. Yeah, but if you're okay, so I went through this after you did your show yesterday in the BC Forever After show or whatever. But if you're on a rocking ship out in the ocean, right, it's constant. You're on a surface that's constantly moving. I don't see how you're going to get an accurate line of sight to the horizon that's hazy.
But you don't know the process.
You see what I'm...
You don't have to immediately tell him he doesn't know the process. That's much is clear, but he's asking us, isn't he? So you don't have to immediately attack him for his ignorance when he's declaring that, Neil. You're going to get his heckles up right quick, aren't you? Fine. If it wasn't for the fact that you were rocking around, you'd use a better tool. So up until that point, they were dangling weights and such like, so they've got perpendicular horizontals. Yeah? Well, instead, when you're out on a rocking boat, that poses a big problem. You can't use molasses and reflect off the mirror. You can't do any of those things because nothing's going to provide you with a level surface on the deck. You're absolutely correct. But that is precisely why they use the horizon. They need something that they can reference that isn't moving. Yeah? So obviously, by some standard, they've got to have some semblance of calm to be able to take these measurements. But you can't ever achieve a level with a bubble for it, for instance. Let's keep it simple, because you can make the direct comparison to how they do it in the sky with the bubble sextant. So bear with me. In the sky, when you're doing this, or up a mountain, or on level ground, or on somewhere that's not rocking back and forth, you can use a tool, either dangle a weight or use a bubble sextant in this example. And the horizontal plane of reference is established when you level the tool. Now, when you've leveled the tool, the bubble sextant, the reason you're leveling it is so that the measurement is parallel with the ground. That's why you do it. Okay? When you use a mariner's sextant, instead of trying to establish parallel with the ground, you're utilizing the ground itself. And because you're above it, you will have to make a small correction called dip correction, but you're actually using the ground to calibrate the tool with something that is established as the plane you will be referencing. It's part of the system. Hence, we use the term horizontal plane of reference. Well, you're actually utilizing that plane of reference to calibrate the tool as level. That would be the mariner's sextant. Because the only thing you can use, the only thing that's obviously not swaying all over the place and consistent when you're on a rocking boat, is the horizon. That's why the mariner's sextant was developed, when up until that point there's other methodologies of doing it, but they just require something you can't acquire from a rocking boat. Yeah? Like a dangling weight. It's like, well, when is it straight down? Well, we don't know because the boat's always swaying back and forth. So it's like, well, what can we use? We can use the ground itself. So that's what they use.
Right. Well, okay. So last night in text chat, in the main chat here, I also asked Proto that because he claims to do a lot of that. And he even agreed with me that whenever you're out in the ocean, that it's very difficult to get that measurement on a rocking boat, and it's not very precise, not very accurate. And
The Protothad's a glober, right?
yeah, that actually
What
uses a
about Johnny?
sextant.
Hold on, just yeah. You've asked a glober, and a glober said it's very difficult to use a tool specifically designed to do exactly that. That's called a mariner's sextant. That's what it's designed to do. He's saying it's really difficult. I say mariner's sextant. He says difficult. I say used for centuries. He says it's hard to get an angle. I say it's established and has expanded the known world. So why are you listening to Protothad?
Well, I asked him because he claims to have been using the sextant for years, and I figured I'd ask someone that's actually used it to see.
Hold on. See, this is what bothers me, because I know Johnny goes in Discord.
Hold on, he didn't stop talking. He just started roboting. Stop. He wasn't actually done. He just started roboting. I get that you heard a gap. He was actually still talking. His connection just severed temporarily, Neil.
But yeah, I just figured I'd ask someone that's actually used that's claim. He says he's used it for years and teaches other people how to do it. And
Says
he
that, eh?
agreed with me that you're on a rocking ship. Yeah, I just figured I'd ask him since he's actually used it. I don't.
How do you know he's
Well, we
used
can
it?
all go on Google and look at the pic. Well, he's claimed it. He's got pictures of him using his. Are they photoshopped? I don't know. They don't look photoshopped.
No, he's saying you've seen snapshots of him on a boat using a sextant.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He's
Well, that
posted
defeats
them.
his entire bloody argument, doesn't it? Hello? That defeats...
What?
So you've just told me you've seen him using that very tool he says would be very difficult to use. No, he's used it. You're asking him because he's used that process. But yet, you're here
Yes, and
challenging
it's
us
not
on the
very
process, but asking Protothad how it's done. And he's apparently definitely done it. So it's definitely a done process then.
Yes, and he's
Yeah.
also included that it's not very accurate.
Right. Expanded. I repeated all of this a second ago. I get that. I heard it. I told you. And I respond with expanded the known world.
And you also said for thousands of years. Well, Righteous Force just looked it up yesterday, and it said from the 1700s, brah.
That's centuries.
1700s? What year is
I
it?
said
Gregorian.
centuries. Centuries. That's what I said.
Hold on a second. They were using this. What do you call it? The Phoenicians were using it years and years and years ago. Go look at that. Go
Who
look that
cares?
up. And why don't you go ask Johnny?
Stop. This is a sidebar, right? Who cares? It is used. He has used it. And what, he's going to decry it by saying it's not very accurate? Oh, right. But he still used it. So why is this an objection? It is a process that even this globe head admits to using. The tool requires horizontal. There's 90 at the end of the baseline. You're establishing the tool, calibrating the tool with the ground. You're measuring Earth flat. He knows it. I know it. And the only rebuttal the globe has got is to say, oh, it's not very accurate. Really? Why were you using it then?
Okay, so you take the measurement, right? And then on a ship, you add in a dip correction, right? You calculate that, correct?
It starts earlier than that, so you've got to understand and appreciate that you're doing dip correction with the understanding that the point in the distance that you're measuring, called the horizon, when you measure it, is at the same height as your correction at port from the sea level. In other words, you're accepting that the point in the distance, if you're saying you're 10 feet above that point at port, the point that you're measuring out in the distance is 10 feet below that, if you're going to take it to be parallel, which you must. So the dip correction is an angle correction to the surface level. Again, you like when I said you calibrate the tool with the horizon, you're doing the same at port. You're calibrating to the surface level because your whole principle that you're going to be utilizing requires parallel planes to the surface level, regardless of if you calibrate the tool with the surface or with a bubble. It's still, in principle, must be parallel to the surface to work. Flat.
And if you take 10 feet at port, it's 10 feet, 50 miles into the ocean. It's still 10 feet, the dip correction.
So measurement and calculation equals final result.
So you measure it with respect to Earth for your height above the horizontal plane of reference that you're referencing, and you calibrate your tool with the Earth when you're using the horizon to calibrate level with the tool on a mariner sextant. In terms of the only point that you could say you're not referencing the Earth, it's with an understanding that you're establishing a plane in midair, for the sake of argument, that will be parallel with the flat ground below. A bubble sextant, you're drawing out a plane in the midair that you're flying in, and you're establishing that plane with the tool, with the bubble. But it only works because both plane that you establish in the air and the ground below it are parallel with one another. For it to function, it must be flat, even in that example.
Yeah, it's still referencing the ground.
You're referencing the plane that you establish in the air, but it's parallel to the ground. So you must understand that principle that you've got a flat ground below the flat plane that you establish when you calibrate the tool with the bubble rather than with the horizon. Or and establish that you've got a height above the horizontal plane of reference when you calibrate for dip at port. So there's lots of reference to the ground. You're navigating the damn thing. I mean, but there we go. Anyway, I'm going to make a coffee because we've got 10 minutes before we start. Hopefully,
I want to talk to this guy 1 second. Why don't you go ask Johnny? I know Johnny goes in Discord. He's hard to understand, Matthias, because he's got a thick accent, and a lot of times he's drinking. But this guy's done it his whole life. He was a fisherman. He was a captain of a fisherman. He used the process thousands of times. Stop going to ballers. Go to flat earthers.
Good morning, gentlemen. Nathan, do you have a video for today, or what's the plan for today? Oh, did he go get a coffee or something?
Yeah, he went to go get coffee.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I do have a video.
Yes, Nathan.
Yeah, that's what he would do usually.
I love when he does that.
People are quiet.
It cracks me up. What's up, Elvis? Good to see you, bro. Good to see you early, man.
Good to see you, my man. Yeah, I just woke up. Got some coffee, too.
Yeah, it's early for you, right?
Yeah, it's 5:51 a.m.
Early bird.
Yeah.
Man, I got a video for today that just came out. This dude Vlad, bro. This guy embarrasses my name. It's so bad, dude. I watched the first few minutes, like 2015 arguments. But if there's nothing going on, if Nathan is interested in viewing, we can do it. But
Mighty Mush.
Yes, sir. What's up, bro?
Does Johnny come in there? You know Johnny the sailor. That's very hard to understand.
Not this week, but I've seen him maybe last week.
Okay, yeah, when he comes in again, tell him to go through the process with Matthias of celestial navigation.
He's lost, dude. Just forget about it.
Has anybody got something they want us to cover?
Well, he's going to globe. Yeah. Go to a flat earther that does
it.
Yes.
Matthias, you're going to say something?
The end result of I was going to say, the end result is a calculated measurement.
What?
A measurement plus a calculation equals a calculated measurement.
So wait, so today is a measurement. Yesterday it wasn't a measurement. You're saying like you agree it's a measurement now?
Well, it's progressing. We can all agree that it's a calculated measurement instead of just a straight up measurement.
Yesterday wasn't even a measurement. So today it's a measurement. You agree that it's a measurement, that we do measure the angle.
I don't know. Look.
Can you not?
Look. If he needs
am I cutting out already?
Are you not just agreeing with you and trying to run a show? Yeah, fine. You want to call it a calculated measurement because you do calculations with the measurement. Fine, you call it whatever you like. It's still a measurement of Earth.
That's what you
it's
agree.
Still completely flat. I'm still talking, and I'm just going to establish if anybody's got a video that we want to cover because my machine's just going to heat up.
Yes, Nathan, I just found the video this morning. This guy Vlad.
Woke Jesus. Woke Jesus.
What?
If Jesus was woke, hilarious.
You know, Eratosthenes took an elevation angle without ever doing a calculation or using the horizon.
He just uses a stick in the shadow, isn't he?
No, no, no. I see what you're talking about. No, man. I mean, that's obviously Divergent Droid posted that. If you want to do that, fine. I'm just asking if you have a vid. There's a new vid that came out either yesterday or today. It's called "Is the Earth Flat?" This guy has a 1.4 million subscribers. His name is Vlad. He completely embarrasses my name. I watched the first few minutes. It's embarrassing, dude. It's 2015 arguments, but he has a lot of subscribers, and I think it will be in your interest to review it, maybe, and we can send them a note, to check it out.
Can you stick us? Yeah, because I think that would be more.
He embarrasses your name.
It would be more appropriate.
Yeah, he's got my name, bro. It's pretty bad, man. I was like, oh no, I slapped my forehead like shit. But yeah, all good.
Well, we have got "If Jesus Was Woke" as a backup by JP React. So, but if you can post it in Master, be great. I'll pick it up in the live stream.
Yep, I'll do it right now.
Thank you very much.
So, Mighty Mush, how do you think I feel with Neil deGrasse Tyson as a name? Don't you think that embarrasses my name?
Yeah. I hear you, bro. Yeah.
Is Matthias's problem with using the horizon that you got to do a dip correction to make it an elevation angle?
No, Matthias's problem is he listened to ProtoFat, a Globe, who said it's not very accurate, but he uses the method because, on the ocean, it's very rocky.
And wavy. Yeah, you're not on a solid static surface.
Right, so you can't use vertical. You have to find a horizontal. What's horizontal?
Man, you didn't listen to a word that I said at the get-go, did you?
I just got here, buddy. I'm just pointing out to you the horizon's horizontal, unless you want to deny that.
Right. Well, I guess we can go through it again since you missed it. It's getting that horizontal to begin with. On a rocky, on Earth, it's stationary. Yeah, you can look and pinpoint the horizon. Easy, simple. But on a, on a surface that's constantly moving up and down, left and right, and all around, it's going to be hard to establish that horizontal.
You think
those days you can that we have maps today, right?
Stop. You think the horizon's constantly moving up and down?
No, my God.
As you go up and down on the sea. You just said that. I said we need to establish a horizontal.
On a boat.
And when you're on a boat, I didn't say anything. You answered something else.
You make it sound like I believe that the horizon itself is constantly moving and not the boat. Did you totally miss that you're on a constantly moving surface called a boat?
Cool. Now you got
in the ocean.
Now that you accept the horizon position is fixed relative to your height. You do accept that, right?
I can accept that it's easy to measure on a stationary surface, but not a constantly moving surface.
So the horizon's constantly moving again, huh? That's what you just said.
Oh. Yes. When you are on a boat rocking back and forth, up and down, left and right, and all around, out in the middle of the ocean, the horizon, the boat's actually rocking back and forth, which makes
moves around. Dude, that's embarrassing. Yeah. You should stop talking. You don't know what you're talking about. The horizon's not moving up and down. You don't know what you're talking about.
Thou shalt not question your literature that you know. Go ahead and show me a Google picture.
The way that people get around the Earth is what you're doing, and you're pretending like it's so outrageous. You're absurd. It's the way people get around.
Thank you for sharing your things about me. That's well put. Thanks. So no really actual argument.
That way. Hold on. I want to know how your conversation went with ProtoFat.
Thanks for the win,
Were you disrespectful of ProtoFat?
For the win, bro.
Were you interrupted, ProtoFat?
No. When you started
you were very
my character for asking questions about your literature is whenever I win. Thanks, bro.
Right, can we all chill out just for a second? I've only stepped away for I only stepped away for 2 minutes. Suddenly it's all very heated.
Yeah, when you attack my character, whenever I ask questions about your literature, that's called a win for me, bruh.
Okay, what's your objection?
You have
everyone on G+ just for a second.
It's not my literature,
guys.
Dummy.
Matthias, what's your objection? What are you saying we've done? Appeal to your character or something? your intellect, rather.
He did. I don't know who did it, but he did.
Okay, I'll try and stop people doing that in future. I appreciate the conversation. In the same way I said this to Lumpy about 17, 18... No, this is the 19th. Conversations ago about this. You know, the road you're on to recognising what we think is obvious is good for people to hear. It'd just be great if it was, number one, first and foremost, without any swearing. You haven't. I'm not suggesting you have this time, but ideally, no swearing at all. And secondly, just good graces. If you're being attacked personally for your intellect level, I didn't hear that, I was in the kitchen, but if that happens, I'll stop it. Okay? But let's try and keep it courteous.
No, I encourage my opponent to attack me instead of my argument. Lets me know that I got the upper hand.
No, it's an ad hom. Yeah, okay. Let's just give him it. Let's just give him it. If someone's attacked, I just want to give him it so we can move on. If someone's attacked your character instead of your argument that you're putting forth, that's an ad hom. Yes, you would be right to say you've won. And let's just give it you so that you can say, right, great, I've had that victory, justifiably so. But let's keep the conversation about Earth being measured flat going, because that's the interesting bit, isn't it? Rather than who's been personally attacked. If that's good with you, Matthias.
That's fine. Let's go back to the claim that the horizon's moving up and down, Matthias. Right?
Yeah, the horizon appears to be moving up and down because you're on a rocking ship out in the that's not stationary.
I'm glad
the ship is
interrupt me.
Moving.
I can start talking in the middle of your sentences too. Is that nice? Does that make you happy when I talk in the middle of your sentences?
Sound like I'm delusional, as if the horizon itself is moving up and down and not the ship.
Okay, he didn't ask for the same responses presumably he had a couple of minutes ago while I was in the kitchen. He's just clarifying that's your position so he can then move forth to challenge it. He's just re-clarifying it so he can challenge it rather than you justify it.
How many times does he have to clarify it?
At the beginning of his statement so that it's clear and concise what he's debating against.
Good morning, folks.
Good morning, Nathan.
Good morning. Good to have you all. Let's do a housekeeping question. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
93 million miles away, according to school books.
That needs an R value based on a radial extrapolation in spherical terms from a flat Earth measurement of Polaris at its minimums, otherwise known as the equator, aka minimum elevation angle measured off a flat plane to Polaris.
No, you can't measure.
Interesting.
Hold on. Go ahead, Matthias.
I was going to say no, you can't make any measurements to the distance of the sun.
No, they infer them with flat Earth extrapolations.
We can measure an angle to the sun, and we require Earth to be flat for that.
Right.
Absolutely.
But the thing with that is accuracy and qualification, right, are two different things. What you're measuring and how accurately you're measuring aren't the same thing. Just for people to get confused by words.
Yeah, in terms of angle measurement and celestial navigation, the base principle is that you're dealing with and negotiating a horizontal plane of reference. Now, that's useful for calibration of the tool if you're using a Mariner sextant, but ultimately it's comparable to, if you say the flat plane of reference is a car, and you say, okay, I accept that by comparison, a flat plane of reference is a car. Now, if you're going to measure the car, and you say, well, you haven't got really advanced dolly-mounted, laser-driven 3D rendering software to get micron-precise measurements of the car, therefore, it's not a car. That is akin to saying, well, if we take reference plane measurements and angles with respect to it, it's not a flat plane. And we're not measuring it because it's not accurate enough for a measurement that would be describing its flatness relative to a different surface plane, in this case, the same surface plane. So it's like saying, I'm not measuring a car, or it's not a car because I haven't got whatever measurements I want to satisfy. Or better still, you've got your same example. You've got an example where you do have dolly measurements, and they go, well, for all your measurements, micron accurate, it doesn't tell me how fast it goes to 60. Therefore, it's not a car. Yeah, Earth is flat. It's referenced as flat, utilized as flat. The base principle for navigation is flat. When you take measurements with respect to it, they are flat. You calibrate your tool to that flat plane. It couldn't be any more geared towards this is Earth, it is flat, that is how it is measured.
But you're not measuring the Earth. You're just measuring angles, right?
Hold on a second.
Yeah,
It depends.
Hold on, let's just answer that guy's question. Stop a second. Hold on, John. He said, you're just measuring angles. No, we're measuring elevation angles. I don't know how many times we've got to say this.
Elevation angles, but you're not measuring the surface of the Earth.
What's an elevation angle? Who's speaking? Is it Fresh Grown Flowers? Fresh Grown Flowers.
Yeah.
So we've already clarified that we are measuring an elevation angle. It's a very specific type of angle. And
That's fine. There's no
I'm still talking.
with that. It's just when you say that you're measuring the Earth flat, you're not measuring the Earth. You're measuring an elevation angle.
Yeah.
So you're speaking out of context.
Sorry, you think that the context of an elevation angle is not with respect to Earth? Let me just give you a definition of what an elevation angle is, so we're all clear. The altitude.
I don't need that. I understand.
Well, shut your mouth while I give it my audience, because you're a fundamentalist religious zealot who's just told me elevation angles have got nothing to do with Earth, and I'm going to read out a definition that makes that absolute garbage that you spouted proven wrong to my audience with definition that you don't care about. Shut your stupid globe-believing mouth while I define what the term means. Altitude angle, sometimes referred to as solar elevation angle, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. Sustainable by design, altitude angle. So Globe Believer says altitude angle, otherwise known as elevation angle, nothing to do with Earth. I read out definition of what an elevation angle is, and it specifically says horizontal plane the observer is standing on in the definition. He says nothing to do with the ground. No, it's specifically referencing the ground. That's what an elevation angle is. He didn't listen to a single word I said. He chanted through it just for the audience's benefit. You could see his light flashing the entire time I spoke, which means he didn't listen to a single word. In his deluded globe-believing mind, it means he doesn't have to respond to that which has been defined. And he made explicitly clear, while he chants through me as I speak now, that he didn't care about how words were defined. Well, no, it's because they're going to defy your fundamentalist religious belief that elevation angle measurements don't have to respond to and reference the ground when they do. It's part of the definition of what an elevation angle is. You said it had nothing to do with the ground. You were wrong, Fresh Grown Flowers.
No, that's a straw, man. You don't listen well at all, do you? It's hard for you to have...
Sorry, don't project, right? I'm going to mute that line while I tell the audience that he didn't listen to a single sodding word I just said and chanted. You saw his line flashing in the Discord server as I was talking, which means he didn't listen to a single word I said. Rather than responding, his opening ad hom is to tell me I don't listen.
Are you done?
Elevation angle measurement specifically references the ground. You said it has nothing to do with the ground, and when I went to define it, you said you didn't care. Ever since I've got into defining what an elevation angle measurement is, you have talked non-stop, incessantly through the top of that definition coming your way, so you don't have to respond to it. It is the ground, it's part of the definition, you said it wasn't. There's him responding to me in the middle of me correcting him and pointing out how wrong he is. I've got the line closed. The audience is hearing me correct you over and over again. Your incessant chanting and fundy muting of me isn't succeeding. The audience is hearing me and seeing your line flash, knowing, so they know you're talking while I'm talking. No, you said it wasn't the ground and had nothing to do with it.
That's all right. The people in
yeah, there's me opening the line so the audience can actually hear the chanting zealot who doesn't want to hear it. It's part of the definition. Now, either you acknowledge that without chanting through me, I'm going to remove you from the call. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do it. Fresh Grown Flowers. I've refuted what you stated.
You done crying?
It's an ad hom. So for the audience's benefit, this is what pathetic globe believers do when they lose. He says nothing to do with the ground. I go and cite that it is specifically in reference to the ground. He chants constantly through me, tells me I don't listen, and then asks me if I'm done crying. Absolutely pathetic. Not the ground, you say? It is. It's part of the definition.
What's the measurement of that ground since you're measuring it, Nathan? How long is it? What's the difference?
So is that a segue away from the fact that you were wrong? Is it a pathetic man that can't concede he's wrong? You were wrong. You said it had nothing to do with the ground. It's part of the definition. Now you want to take it onto a different subject because you're a coward and can't face it. You're wrong. No humility. You were wrong. Accept that.
The asking how far it is when you're talking about an angle measurement is like asking what yellow smells like, dude. Do you know where you're at?
It's asking how fast the car can do after you've done a laser scan of it. How long? It's an angle measurement with respect to the ground. It's part of the definition. You said it wasn't the ground.
You're not measuring the earth.
So it's part of the definition that you wouldn't accept it. So that he can chant, it's nothing to do with the earth again. He's spoken the entire time I've defined the words that he said had nothing to do with the ground. So at the end of me pointing out it's part of the definition, he doesn't have to accept it, can rinse and repeat, it's nothing to do with the ground. It's everything to do with the ground, it's part of the definition. You haven't accepted that. You've told me I'm scared, you've asked me if I'm crying, and you've chanted through it every word of it, and then asked me if I should, listen better? No, you were wrong. It is the ground, it's part of the definition. You haven't accepted that, and you've just literally chanted through. This has been a 5-minute attempt for me to get you, the fundamentalist religious zealot, to accept that it is most assuredly part of the ground, when we define what an elevation angle is. You haven't listened to it or responded to it. You're a coward.
What's the measurement of the flat earth then, since you're measuring it?
What's it? An elevation angle?
The flat earth, you fucking idiot.
Remove him. He's swearing at me now. That's the true sign that you've lost. You've lost your temper with me.
Yeah, kick him out.
Zealot. Yeah, it's the ground that we're measuring flat when we take an elevation angle with respect to it. That would be the horizontal plane the observer is standing on, as per the definition. You no longer get to take part, fundy zealot. Share your pain. You need to swear at me, do you? Because you're in a lot of pain, because we're referencing the ground that's flat for an angle that requires it to be flat. Yeah, you'll say it's not the ground. You're like Charles. Lying globe believer Charles, flat earth math, who says there's no right angles in celestial navigation. Like you, he just needs to lie. That's what you guys do. I put a little video about it this morning. Off the back of Brian's video where he's detailing very specifically what we actually do in reality with the triangles. Now, they don't reference curve baseline, so Charles lying glurf says no triangles in celestial navigation. Why? Because you're all liars. When it doesn't meet your standards of globe faith, you decry what we do in reality. When in reality we're referencing the ground, the horizontal plane the observer is standing on, as per the definition, this fundy glurf liar will lie through his back teeth and chant through me, and then project the fact that he doesn't want to listen to how much it references the ground when he says it doesn't, and tell me I can't listen. That's what you glurfs have got to do in 2024. It is pathetic. You've lost so badly, and you end up swearing at us now. And the tables have completely turned.
Not only that, what they'll do is they'll get naive flat earthers that do not understand this fact that we've been laying out, and they'll tell them that it can't be done because the ocean, the waves, and the boat is rocking, and, it's not accurate, so it can't be the ground.
Okay.
That's why you use the horizon on that rocky sea, right? Because you're not going to take an elevation angle in the middle of a storm where you have 20-foot waves with respect to a horizontal plane, 20-foot waves. But anyway, you're not going to take the elevation angle then. You're going to take it a gentle rock, I would say. You're not going to take it, when it's cloudy and storming and there's, pressure differentials everywhere creating waves. You're not going to do that. But you will rock the instrument to establish your vertical, use the horizon as horizontal to establish your angle between your line of sight to the horizon and that celestial object. That is your measurement. That is not an elevation angle because you haven't applied dip correction at that point. But that's what you use the horizon for.
Indeed. What say you, globe believer? Had it been in response to something a globe believer said, like it's not the ground we're dealing with, he'd have chanted through every word of that, wouldn't he? Had he not been removed, he wouldn't have tolerated that fresh grown flowers guy. Right? Wouldn't tolerate it from me. That's what you globe believers are like now. You've been reduced to this. Where is Proto-Thad? He's telling Matthias how celestial navigation's done. Is he? Ooh, okay. Because he's done it. It's done by these globe believers. You say, oh, it's not very accurate. Well, why are you being appealed to again? Because you've done it.
Yeah, I think Reshcron Flower's last question was more or less related to, you know, if you're claiming that the Earth is measured flat, then how big is the Earth?
Right, it's an angle measurement as opposed to a size measurement. We just covered this like literally 5 minutes ago.
You can, so if you can't, couldn't you put the pieces together and?
I just gave you an analogy. So I'm taking a measurement with one of those scanning tools, like you can do with your iPad now, right? With LiDAR. You walk around the car with your iPad, you get a really accurate LiDAR scan of the car. I present it to you and say, look at my car measurement. I'm not quite finished, Matthias. I say, look at my car measurement. Yeah, there's the second attempt. Let's just close Discord line, because I'm obviously not going to get to this after the third attempt, so I'll just close that line. I've got no option. So he's not listening, by the way, so this is only for the audience now. It can't be a back and forth anymore. My opponent won't tolerate it. He doesn't want to listen to my point of view, me explaining that when you measure a car with LiDAR and an iPad, and then you come along and say, well, how fast does it go? And I go, I can't tell you from this type of measurement. It's not a speed measurement. I'm not going to get a mile per hour out of it. You go, well, it's not a car then.
Yeah, that's how idiotic it sounds. You're right.
Angle measurement. You understand that's an angle measurement. One of the lines requires Earth be flat because that's what you're measuring. It's part of the definition I gave to that guy that didn't want to hear it 16 times. He didn't want to hear it. You notice, Matthias. Just wanted to clarify with Matthias. I'm nearly done. You notice he didn't want to hear it and lied about what Earth was being referenced, even though it's part of the definition, Matthias. Did you notice that the globe believer lied just then? Fresh Grown Flowers lied about it having nothing to do with the Earth. When I came to define it, he didn't want to hear it and chanted through every last word of it. Maybe you didn't get to hear it. My audience did. The definition included that it was part of the ground, and because you didn't hear it in Discord, because he chanted, it means that he precluded you from hearing the truth, Matthias. Yeah? He raped your ears so you didn't get to hear the definition that very specifically references the horizontal plane we are standing on. It's part of the measurement of an elevation angle. You didn't get to hear that because the chanting zealot stopped you. He precluded you knowing the truth, just like Protothad did. They're just deceiving you. They're pouring poison in your ears. Meanwhile, you're here shouting at us while we try and communicate the truth to you. The facts, with citations and backup, definitions that get chanted through. Just so we're clear about what's going on here.
Well, when you first tried to give him the citation, he didn't want to hear it.
Well, if you measure something to be 22 degrees Fahrenheit, how long is that? Because measurements are only of length. How long is 22 degrees Fahrenheit?
Right, we're dealing with angle measurements with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. In order for the functionality of this measurement when you move forward with it into the calculations, after you've measured the world flat, will require that you appreciate it's flat because everything's going to be running parallel with it along a plane. And that's what you're going to be navigating. It's the ground you're going to be negotiating. So you must understand at a base level, it is and must be functionally flat for you to actually use this system to find your way around on it. What's that? It's not the ground. It's not a measurement. It's not flat. You're all dumb. You don't have to like me saying it. I'm going to just keep saying it when we get to these points where we're measuring the ground and its flatness for a flat angle. It's Earth. We're navigating it and negotiating it. It's called navigation. There's a reference plane. I mean, we reference it. We're measuring. And when I hear back, not flat, not measurement, not Earth, I just think you're stupid. So if you're an audience member, go, oh, I don't quite understand that. It's Earth. It's referenced. We're measuring an angle. Every single aspect of principality in this single example of navigation requires Earth be measured flat. It is that simple.
Yeah, it's just not the globe ground. It's the flat Earth ground.
It's just not giving a size or differential from vertical plane from horizontal for elevation differences in topology. It's like, this is an angle measurement with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. Earth, in this instance. What's that? It won't show how high or low the tides are. It won't show the sea bobbing up and down. No, it's not. It's not that kind of measurement. We're measuring the car with a LiDAR scan and asking how bloody fast it goes.
Well, give me the temperature.
This is
yeah.
Oh,
you scanned it thoroughly. How hot is it?
That's where we're at. I mean, I get more resistance from flat earthers and anti-flat earthers. Globers just accept it. I don't get it.
Because they're
they accept it and they try to persuade dumb flat earthers.
They're manipulative. Censorship is the way it works. Matthias didn't get to hear me define what an elevation angle was. He got to hear my opponent say it's got nothing to do with the ground. And then the opponent, Fresh Grown Flowers, decided that so long as nobody in the Discord server hears the actual definition of what an elevation angle is, I can, so long as I chant indefinitely, restate that it's got nothing to do with the ground at the end because no one's heard it. So no one's going to say, he just defined it as being part of the ground. What are you talking about? No one got to hear it in Discord. That's their trick. One trick pony, Fresh Grown Flowers. Feel free to return tomorrow and actually respond to what I say. Maybe rather than asking me how long something is when you take an angle measurement with respect to a horizontal plane of reference the observer is standing on. End quote. Sustainable by design when defining an elevation angle. That's the debate the audience want. We're not getting it though, are we? From the Globe side, they don't want debate anymore. It seems that they don't want to hear it. They want to chant through it and then reassert their fundamentalist zealot position because they're on a globe that doesn't exist anymore. So no debate's going to be tolerated by globe believers anymore. It's you guys putting the kibosh on the debate. Could have had it with Fresh Grown Flowers if he was just prepared to listen. He wasn't. He was prepared to project his inability to listen by chanting onto me afterwards. Total scum. We're dealing with scum. Scum zealots. Don't like that their religion's being taken away from them. Tough luck.
Nathan, because Mighty Mush, they went over it with him yesterday. I'm sure they did because I heard him say it. Yesterday was a measurement, but today it's not. So they've gone over it with him. I'm sure they have.
Well, the key that it involves Earth is in the title, elevation angle. If your game is to deny that it has anything to do with Earth, you're just lost.
What is elevation? You mean like the height off the ground?
I guess not.
I don't think it's got anything to do. When you say height, I think it's with respect to the middle of space. When I say 30 feet, it's got nothing to do with the ground. When I talk about elevation, how high you are off the frigging ground. Why are flat earthers so stupid? Why are we surrounded by conspiratard numpty dipshits that don't understand this simple stuff? Elevation angle, you say, no, it's got nothing to do with the ground. How can it be with the ground? Elevation itself could only be with respect to the ground. What are you babbling about? Let's define what an elevation angle is. Oh no, we're just taking an angle. It's just an angle. You're all thick. How much longer are we going to have to put it with just an angle? Not the ground? Not a measurement? Not Earth? Let's define what the angle is. An angle's a measurement with respect to the flat Earth. There you go, it's part of the definition. Oh, I'm not happy with that. I don't accept that. In fact, I'm not going to listen to it and chant through it incessantly, even though you'll make 5 attempts to define it for me. And then I'll say afterwards, it's not the ground, again. Or it's not an angle, again. Or it's not Earth, again. Or it's not a measurement. It's all of those things, you dumbos. Why aren't you getting this? Yeah? What did the Glober have? Fresh against that. What did he actually have? Did he have a response? Did he have a rebuttal? No, he had a lot of chanting, didn't he? That's what they actually have. They just don't want you, the audience, to realise that just quite yet. Yeah? Be quite convenient if the people who are in the Discord server, some of them might be on the fence, don't get to hear the full argument. You get to hear it, though, and you're more important than me in this respect than Discord. Because they're getting rumpus, they're not getting to hear it, so I can appeal to them. You, the audience, do, though. The minute that crap starts up, I've said it yesterday, I'm not going to tolerate it. Close the Discord line. Keep telling you, the audience, what you need to know so you don't have to decipher it through some chanting fundy who's decided, nah, there's no way the audience is going to get here that it's absolutely the ground and part of the definition of it. How could it not? We're talking about elevation angles. Elevation itself could only be with respect to the ground. How high you are? What, how high you are in space with respect to nothing? Obviously not. We're talking about the ground here. But they don't want it to be about the ground, do they, the Globers? Because it isn't their globe ground anymore. It's a flat ground. So they need to start poisoning flat earthers, telling them how inaccurate the methods they've used with sextants are. It's sad. Where's the debate? Where's the rebuttal? There isn't one. They need it flat too. When they get to that, so long as you don't appreciate how flat they're using the world in measurement form, they'll use it and move on to how globe-shaped it is, and you won't notice. As long as they can keep that little trick in the shed, don't let the horse bolt. Yeah, well, I'm smashing the doors and setting the barn on fire. It's measured flat. It's Earth. You just have to understand it. It's really simple. Sooner you understand it, the quicker you can go smashing globe heads in with it.
And it's actually part of their rhetoric. It's so biggie, it's flatty. I don't know why we're getting such resistance from flat earthers.
When they say so biggie, it's flatty, they don't mean the ground. What, the one they're building railways on? Yeah, it's not the ground. Yeah, they measure it and build rails, doesn't it? It's not measurements. So biggie, it's flatty. Well, it can't be measurements, can't be ground, can't be a... No, you're just idiotic. They say it's flat because it has to be. That's how they build on it. They make apologies for why they have to do it flat. So it's just because it's so big. I mean, it'd be inappropriate to measure it globe-shaped when we build on it completely flat. So it's just, it's built on flat, and that's just because it's so big in that. So the Globers have no problem telling us how flat it is. Because it is. Earth, that is. Flat, that is. Measured, that is.
Well, see, that's the thing, because when we talk to anti-flat earthers, they're flat earthers too. They just don't like it. They don't want it to be what it is.
Yeah.
You're just measuring an angle.
Yeah, it's just an angle. All right. What about an elevation angle? No, I don't know how that's defined. I don't care. That's what the Globers have got. Any advance on that absolute garbage from fresh grown flowers from the Globe side? Maybe someone would actually like to respond to the fact that, no, part of the definition of an elevation angle is that you're going to be using the Earth. Obviously. Clearly not. But yeah, what? It's not a good argument, say you flat earthers. Yeah, you got screw loose. Anyway, we're going to be covering woke Jesus. No, I'm only joking. We're going to be covering this. If I get past the advert. It's Is the Earth Flat by Vlad. I don't know how to say his surname. Vlad. That's who it's by. So we'll cover this. Has somebody put it in as a time-stamped point? Because we're already 1 minute 59. Is that intentional, Vlad? The other Vlad.
Nathan, I don't know what the hell you just said. I heard you say my name, but you're roboting. Try saying that again.
Oh, really? Okay, I think it's just for you. Well, I hope it is.
It is just him. It's good for me.
It did it for you too?
No, you're good for me.
Okay,
it's
cool.
just mighty.
Yeah, it's just his connection. That's fine.
No, it's the way you pronounce the last name, Nathan.
Thank you. So, did you set it to the timestamp of 1:59 or?
No, that's probably how much I watched. No, I didn't.
Yeah, so you just click share at the point that you were. Yeah, fine. So if I start it from the beginning. Yeah. Okay, right. Let's get into it. As always, while we're starting, please let this videographer Vlad know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. The idea being that, obviously, with us sharing the algorithmic love, limited though it is from this small channel, were they to do a response, they would share that algorithmic love for us back in return by putting a link to my video in their video, if they were to respond. Highly unlikely. There's a good chance this person's going to have his ass handed to him and then not like us and want to promote us in any way, shape or form. But you can but try, and all I can do is show good faith and send my audience to him to send him some good cheer, a nice comment that says, hey, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Love your stuff. Or whatever you want to say. So please let him do that. Please do that right now if you're in the live audience. You can see in the on screen in the live stream chat, as the show is currently live. You can literally click on it right this second and do it, and I'll keep babbling on with my call to action over and over again, hopefully while you do that, so that when you come back, you can still hear me doing the same call to action, and then we'll get into the video. So yeah, Vlad's videos had 16,000 views, and it's only been out a day. Wow. Oh, he's got 1.42 million subscribers. That's probably why. Well, good for you, my friend. More power to you. Let's see what you've got to say on the subject. Hopefully that's given enough people a little bit of time to actually go and leave them a quick comment. There's 100 people watching the live stream here, so hopefully at least a couple of them, maybe 10%, you'd hope for a call to action, would go over and actually leave them a comment. So anybody got any comments on this video if you've watched it previously, or if you want to preface what I'm about to do, which is just press play? Go ahead, speak now. Clearly not. Right, we'll get straight into it.
And biblical references that support that the earth is not flat. And then at the end, I'll share my encouragement and also a little bit of a warning. Number one is the common sense arguments that the earth is not flat.
Right, he's starting with common sense arguments that earth is not flat. Okay. Wouldn't he be in a position to just prove it's a sphere? Wouldn't that be the contrapositive? In Western world viewpoints, it's not contrapositive in literal terms, but the contrapositive is perceived to be globe versus flat, as opposed to common sense arguments that the earth is not flat. Doesn't sound like a great start.
Well, we have pictures of the earth from space.
Right, who wants to deal with that? Anybody?
There is no pictures from space. There is no space.
Vlad was first. Go ahead, Vlad.
Said there is no pictures from space, and space does not exist in reality. It's a direct
pictures from Narnia
of nature.
One more time. Yes, that's right, Narnia. Elvis, go ahead, Vlad. You were about to justify why it was not real.
Vacuum of outer space possibly exists in reality. It's a direct violation of a law of nature, entropy. Second law of thermodynamics.
Perfect.
Space is fake.
Space is fake. This area, which this guy believes is the place the space-based photos came from, is claimed to be a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum. This is high-pressure gas. This is a 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum. If that was the case, it isn't. This is garbage CDI nonsense. Nobody's going out to this area. Then the gas at high pressure would fill this space. It's a law of nature. Entropic law. Dispersion. The second law of thermodynamics describes entropic dispersion. That would be to say the gas will fill the volume available to it. Entropy. Debunks space. There is no space. You haven't got any photos from space. You're deluded. And furthermore, deep down inside, you know that's the case because you've not got pictures from space. You've never been there, and you can only trust the priesthood that say they have. Now, they haven't, and I can categorically prove they're lying, but up until this moment, you had faith, because you certainly haven't been to a second law of thermodynamics sky vacuum violation, have you? Just had faith in the priests.
Also, your supposition that the stars are at a near infinite or infinite distance away is a supposition within the celestial sphere model, which is with respect to a flat plane. So yeah, your concept of space comes from a flat Earth.
Absolutely.
Also sit on the beach and watch a ship go.
Ships over the horizon? No, if the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, every distance to that geometric sphere edge horizon you think blocks boats and buildings, it's been decried by your own side for the last 4 years, but nevertheless you're sticking with the original globe rhetoric, so I can attack it with the black swan. Every distance to that horizon could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, exactly laid down in your Earth curve maths that begs the question and ignores perspective, hijacks it and turns it into a sphere edge below surface level, which is flat, and the derivation in the maths utilises a differential between the eye level and the surface level to infer that there's a geometric horizon that only exists in maths for you to claim it's blocking boats and buildings. Distance to horizon in the black swan, beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere edge hill getting in the way, at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as declared by your maths. Therefore, the horizon is not Earth curve, and the Earth is not a sphere. It was debunked in 2020. This is garbage.
Go up over the horizon. You can watch the sun go down, even though...
That's the same stupid claim. So you've got a sphere edge physical hill blocking the sun now, rather than a boat. It's the same claim. If Earth was a sphere radius 3959, every distance to horizon measurement could be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, as per Earth curve mathematics. Distance to horizon in the black swan beyond the geometric limitations of 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet for your hill to get in the way. Therefore, there's not a hill getting in the way. Earth's not a sphere. Black Swan, 2020. This is garbage. Same garbage, different bottle.
Also, sunset's a rhetorical device for describing elevation angle changes of the sun. So you need a flat Earth to describe your sunset.
Yeah, the angle differences that would be used to calculate and describe this sun will be with respect to a flat plane.
We know the sun doesn't rise and go down, but you can see them quickly climb on the tree and watch it go down again. Take a picture of the stars at night from the foot of the mountain, and then climb on the mountain and take another picture of the stars, and you will see more stars from the top of the mountain.
You having me on? You're saying if I put a giant physical obstruction between me and my view of stars, and then I go up on top of the thing that was formerly obstructing my view of a horizon in the distance, I'll see more of them. I mean, I'm not even going to compare this to your supposition of it being a globe proof. You didn't preface it in any way to suggest it proves axial rotation or sphericity. Nevertheless, in literal terms, what you've just described is going up a mountain and seeing past the mountain where it formerly blocked your view. Do you really have these low of a standards for your claims? Because this is stupid. Obviously, if the mountain's not in the way of stuff, you're going to see it. Wow.
Travel to Australia if you're in America.
When you go up in altitude, the stars aren't changing, dude. What are you talking about?
No, he didn't specifically say that.
The same elevation angle to the stars. What is he talking?
He didn't specifically say. I was waiting for him to say that, and I would have critiqued it just as you are, but he didn't specifically say that. You know, you'll see more because you're raising up, and in the same way you can have a full sunset and then bring the sun back. It seemed like that's where he was going for the stars. He wasn't and didn't. He's just saying you see more of them based on what he said verbatim. You see more of them when you go up the mountain, and I'd be like, yeah, it's not in the way anymore. It was blocking your view of the stars that were at the horizon below it, behind it. Sorry. Now you're up it, that it's not in the way anymore. So what?
America,
yeah, but if you just take the mountain out of it, right, and you're on the ground and you look out, you'll see the same stars that the guy 100 foot above you will see.
Correct.
What is he talking about?
Okay, yeah, that
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense because he just contextualized it with the mountain itself. So I can only take it at face value of what he actually said. But you are correct. If in terms of the actual presentation of the stars and the angles off a flat Earth you'll measure when describing them, those angles either off a flat Earth, using a flat Earth, calibrating with a flat Earth if you're using a Mariner sextant, or calibrating your tool with respect to, say, a bubble and drawing out a plane of reference in the sky, parallel with the ground. Regardless of which one of those two methodologies you do, both, if they're directly above each other, will give the same angle measurement. They don't change as you raise in height. They remain the same angle at all elevations. So if you're measuring a 30-degree angle to a star with respect to a horizontal flat Earth that you're referencing to get this angle, it must be, it won't function if it isn't measured flat Earth, that is, when we measure this angle. If it's 30 degrees on the ground, it's 30 degrees at 30,000 feet in an aeroplane. It's the same angle. Can't not be. The almanac wouldn't work if it didn't have the same angle. It does. It doesn't change. That's John's point. I mean, that obviously makes no sense whatsoever if you've got the Earth falling away and only physical obstructions obscuring your views of stars. That isn't how we dealt with them for the last God knows how many hundreds of years. The way we do deal with them is with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. That's Earth being measured flat.
To America, if you're in Australia.
Alone. Sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say, just that alone, how you just described that, I mean, it's obvious to a duck What's going on in the world today? What's going on in our own community?
I don't know, Neil. Sometimes things just take a bit of time to penetrate.
Yeah, and look at the night sky, and you will see different constellations of stars. Shadows of two same-size sticks placed in different places on Earth.
Will prove a flat Earth's being measured, you complete clown. Are you serious? He's going to talk about angle measurements with respect to a horizontal plane of reference. He's about to measure a flat Earth, ladies and gentlemen. This is a flat Earth proof.
Are different lengths. Test this by calling a friend in a different city and having them measure the shadow of a stick that you have sent to them. New York and London have different times, which you...
So is moving on from measuring a horizontal plane of reference and the difference in the angles off that horizontal flat Earth that you just measured with the sticks and shadows. John, you did this in the pre-show. You can have the glory. Go ahead.
Right. The supposition that Earth is, or presupposition that Earth's a sphere that they all use, requires you take elevation angles off the ground, like Eratosthenes. When you measure the angle between the tip of the shadow and the top of the stick, you use the Earth as a horizontal plane to establish the angle, to then calculate that Earth is a sphere. Calculations aren't proof. If they don't comport with measurement, they're invalid.
The measurements in this instance are flat Earth measurements. There can't be anything else. They wouldn't be an angle if they were anything other than a flat Earth measurement that he absolutely unequivocally requires. We're all familiar with sticks and shadows and the claim of angles. Angles are straight lines. One of them's the ground. So for this globe claim to stand true, you must accept that Earth is being measured flat, because it is, for their example to then move forward and calculate it spherical.
You can check by calling your friend in London or Sydney or Beijing. This is because the sun is shining on one part of the Earth and the other part is in darkness.
Yeah.
The Earth is round.
Sorry, that's not. That's non sequitur. That's a non sequitur conclusion. Saying, I shine a torch on this bit, it's light, and then I shine the torch over there, it's dark. Therefore, unicorns. It's completely non sequitur. Therefore, Earth is round. Because we've got light bits and dark bits, Earth is a sphere. You need to put a bit of in-between bit, like a bit of logical consistency in between your suppositional statement and your inevitable affirming of the consequent fallacy, followed by your conclusion that Earth is a sphere. I mean, what you're doing is making a purely, totally baseless assertion. What you're not doing is even formulating into a fallacious form of reasoning. I mean, this is so crap.
Nathan, he said round. He didn't say a sphere.
Yeah, but it was still non sequitur. I don't care if he says hexagon shaped. If night and day, then hexagon. If night and day, then round. If night and day, then sphere. It's completely non sequitur unless he inserts either a begging the question fallacy of axial rotation, which will absolutely unequivocally require a horizontal plane of reference to describe, or assert that we've got physical orbital motion, in which case I'll refer you to Kepler, the origins of Kepler, the ephemeris, and the flat plane angle measurements of the stars. Either way, he's going to need a flat plane. He just didn't insert the, I think this is a globe methodology, actually it's measuring a flat Earth, in between him saying night and day, therefore round. He didn't insert anything. It was completely non sequitur. It was the lowest of standards you could possibly use in fallacious reasoning. Non sequitur fallacy. Garbage. This is what we're up against. My God. The world's being dumbed down if this guy's got 1.4 million subscribers. Shout out to Theo Megawerty. Neil, what's going on in, quote, flat Earth is that many people want to be at the top, wherever personality or argumentatively, that's a hard word to say, envy is a green-eyed monster. Thank you very much for the super chat, Theo Megawerty. I don't know why that was directed at Neil. You want to be on top, Neil?
I don't know why he's mentioning me. I don't even understand what he said.
the title of this show is What's Going On in Flat Earth or something like that. I just kept yesterday's title till I know what we'll cover. So I think he's referencing the title of this show, which will eventually get changed to Vlad. Is it Slavchuk? I just pretended to not be able to say the letters as they're said. Is it Slavchuk? Can someone actually say his surname so I've at least said his name out of courtesy once correctly?
Yeah, you're right.
Nathan, I think we should start calling this guy Vlad and Flat Earth too.
Yeah.
Nah,
Mush in chat is Vlad.
bastard.
Mush is Vlad, but fortunately he's Mush because this guy's Vlad for now.
No, but I know, so far all his argument proves Flat Earth.
Oh, sorry, you were actually on track while I was sidelining about the panel. Thank you, yes, for getting us back on this railroad. It hadn't entirely derailed.
The second reason why I believe the Earth is not...
At least he understood that all of that last category was one proof. Yeah? At least he recognised it as one single claim. I don't know how that changes what we said about his star claim. I'll have to give that some thought after the fact. We'll move on for now.
Not flat is because of scientific evidence. Gravity is a force that...
Oh my
Not
God.
for 100...
Stop him.
Not for 109 years, mate. No, you're just poorly educated. What's the other word for that? Ignorant. Gravity has not been a force for 109 years. Maybe the editor of Scientific American can clarify this for you. His name's George Musa. Gravity is not a force. But you can think of it as a force. George Musa. Scientific American.
Pardon me, but you don't.
Yeah, but that's not
You don't go
science.
to. But you don't go to the shape. Like if you're wanting to know the shape of something, you don't. That's not a scientific question. Like it just proves that everything he's getting ready to say after this will be wrong because of that statement.
Correct. He's in a category error.
Yeah, he just proved he don't know what science is.
Correct, Neil. He's in a category error. Talking about shapes, geometry. Well, what science? Cause and effect reasoning based on observing natural phenomena. This isn't that. He doesn't know what science is. Correct. Neil, what's going on in Flat Earth? Is that... Oh, no, you've already read that. I thought there's another one. Oh, yeah, here we go. Neil, you literally asked the question a minute ago. Mandela effect. Wow, 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 says Theo Megawerty. Thanks for the super chat.
Oh, he's talking about when I asked what's going on with Flat Earth because the evidence is so obvious. I got it.
Can you get a few more things wrong? It's very profitable. But in all seriousness, thank you for the super chats. Really appreciate the support.
Pulls everything towards the center. Because of this, the Earth and other planets naturally form into round shapes, like balls.
Hasn't been a force for 108 years. Gravity is currently described as the bent pseudo-Riemannian force space-time invented in Einstein's mathematics. You don't know what you're talking about.
This is easier to understand than...
You don't understand it. You're 109 years out of date. Why are you telling an audience what they understand with your wonky eye? That was a bit of an unfortunate pause moment.
Forming them into flat shapes. Physics laws, which are the same everywhere in the universe, make the planets round. Not
Physics laws? No. Let's not smash these two things together. Laws of nature are descriptions of that which occurs always. Physics is the study of the physical and natural world, aka the scientific method. Natural science. Natural science isn't natural law. Natural law are descriptions. Science explains. Did you want to add something, John?
Well, it's kind of back to that. Well, how big is it? The Earth, whenever we point out that they're making flat Earth measurements, they want to go to a non sequitur of how big it is. But to make the statement that these laws that we experience on this earthly realm apply everywhere in creation, you'd have to be in everywhere in creation. So I don't know, does it?
He's appealing to laws to justify a non sequitur with planets and gravity as a force, making them into ball shapes, based on what the priests have told him. He hasn't experienced any of this. He hasn't been out to a sky vacuum. but he is going to appeal to natural law. Fine, even if he calls them physics laws. Either way, well, what about second law of thermodynamics? Obviously, given that you're talking about these laws, you're well aware of the second law of thermodynamics and gas dispersion into sky vacuums, if we had one. We haven't. Here you are appealing to natural law. We describe second law of thermodynamics. We don't just say, natural law, therefore flat Earth, like you do with your garbage standard. We go, no, you say sky vacuum. We say second law of thermodynamics description of that which occurs always. In all circumstances, gas fills space. There is no exception. It's a law of nature. The same one you're appealing to without justifying precisely what physics law you're actually appealing to. We would actually debunk your sky vacuum with a law of nature. You, on the other hand, don't know what physics is. 1.4 million subscribers.
Not flat. It's like how water forms into drops. It's the...
He's got a puddle of water with a horizontal line for the puddle that it's dropping into, and he's appealing to the momentary circular water when in motion temporarily for what the entire spherical world retaining spherical water. No, water finds and seeks its level.
The same natural shape for...
Where's it all gone? Why is it all flat again? I mean, that lasted half a second and now it's all flat. Yeah, they use that principle in building. Go ahead.
Sorry, don't forget about flat ice.
Yeah, shout out to Mark Sargent. What about if you froze it? It would be perfectly flat. That's why you use it for ice skating rinks. Big shout out to Mark Sargent.
Planets. Space exploration, for example.
Is a second law of thermodynamics violation. There is no space. There is no exploration of a violation of that second law of thermodynamics description of gas expanding into space, because all the gas we're breathing would have expanded into space. We'd all be dead if there was space exploration. We'd be at 10 to minus 17 torr at sea level. We're not. There is no sky vacuum. It's utterly absurd, but you're going to appeal to it. What, because you've been there? No, you just trust your priests who say they go to sky vacuums and find soil there.
Astronauts in space have taken many...
This video is for confirmation. This is for Globers that just want confirmation. They don't want information. They just want their bias confirmed.
Yeah, he's not doing a very good job of confirming it. He's proven a flat Earth a couple of times, and he's made non sequitur conclusions that we've got a round Earth.
Any photos of the Earth, and these photos clearly show that the Earth is round, like a...
Clearly show what? That you can take pictures from a second law of thermodynamics violation? Have they been clearly verified by you going up to the same area akin to Narnia through the wardrobe, aka the high pressure gas that we're all breathing, into an area of volume that their gases aren't filling, to verify that they definitely took real pictures from that fake place that doesn't exist? No, you just took their word for it. And now you decided to tell me that they're definitely pictures and it's definitely round. Let's have a little look at one of them.
Ball, not a flat, like a pancake. Satellites and space stations.
So let me get it straight. This satellite is into the sky vacuum, right? It's into the 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum bit. And these clouds below are defying entropic gas dispersion. They're not expanding into the sky vacuum, even though they've got availability to it. No, they seem to be going through a phase change. That would be the water, the vapor from the sea that's evaporated. It's going through a phase change. It'd have to be under containment for this to occur. What's that you say? No, it's just got a 10 to the minus 17 torr sky vacuum next to it. It's all good. It doesn't expand. It doesn't follow natural law. And here's something in there to prove it. You're not going there to check, but obviously it's really expensive.
Orbit around the Earth.
Orbit is a description that requires flat Earth elevation angle measurements to Polaris to derive an R value. For the mathematics of Keplerian orbits. I mean, no doubt that he hasn't got the slightest idea what an orbit even is. Nevertheless, you'll need a flat Earth measured to give you those orbits. You'll have to derive an R value from somewhere, and you'll be deriving it from a flat Earth angle measurement to the star known as Polaris, for the latitude grid that you'll later stretch around a ball after measuring it flat. That's where you get your R value for your Keplerian motion you call orbit. You'll need a flat Earth for orbit, clown!
And they can only do...
What's this? Is this a sky vacuum? This is a very strange picture. Obviously, it's a photograph. it isn't. You're an idiot if you believe it is, and you'd think you'd have some if you were going to claim that they're all photographs, obviously, according to you. Meanwhile, this is high-pressure gas. Like you have in your tyre in your car. Now, unlike a tyre and a car, there's a very, very small difference between the high-pressure gas in a tyre and the atmospheric high-pressure gas that you would describe in this circumstance. Sphere-shaped air, you say? So why isn't the gas dispersing into the sky vacuum? It's because it's CGI. It doesn't have to. It doesn't need to follow entropic law. It's completely made up. This isn't a real picture. If the sky was a vacuum, 10 to the minus 17 torr is inferred for things to float around in derivations of flat Earth measurements and calculations on paper, not in this CGI rendering. Obviously, this isn't real. But you've got high-pressure gas not filling space, defying a law of nature. Gas fills space. That's what it does. It's called entropy. It's a law of nature. But in this image, nah, gas is cool. It'll chill out of the Kármán line. Yeah? Have a few cakes, maybe go back down to Earth, go down, go boom, boom. You know, because Thunderfoot says it goes down, go boom, boom. You know, gas gets up here and just goes, nah. I'm not going to do what I am going to do as gas. I'm not going to follow law. Screw the law. I am what I am, and I've decided I'm going to go back down, go boom, boom. I'm not going to follow in whatever vector I was travelling at a high rate of speed until I collide with something to form pressure. Hell no. I'm a gas particle. I am strong. I'm going to burn my bra in defiance of natural law and stay here. Not going into the sky vacuum. This is garbage, mate. You've been duped. There's no sky vacuum above your head.
Do this.
Did anyone else want to add anything after that little rant?
No, you did pretty good there.
Because the Earth is round. If the Earth were flat, they wouldn't be able to go all the way around it.
The description of going around, if you're going to claim sphericity, was inferred by the measurements I just described gave Kepler his orbital motion. Flat Earth measurements.
You can see different shapes of the moon and the shadows on other planets.
But shadows by presupposition on other planets. They're sky-based claims, not ground-based claims. So Earth not flat because light in sky. That's fascinating non sequitur. Meanwhile, we make angle measurements with respect to a flat Earth when we use those stars to move around the ground. But you're just going to appeal to how they appear and what you say are shadows. No, you see, the explanation that you come up with as a globe-believing numpty for what you claim are shadows without verifying them are what we already demolished when you claimed orbital motion. That's how you explain it. I just look at the flat Earth measurement that was used in the first instance, the origin, the genesis of those orbital motions, when I point out it can't possibly be sphere-Earth orbital motions. You wouldn't be measuring a flat Earth to infer it if they were. You'd be measuring a sphere Earth. You don't. You measure a flat Earth and then take it to the maths to infer sphericity in orbits. That's what Kepler did.
These are cues that they are round and the Earth is the same. Third.
Oh, so you've got cues, like hints, that the Earth is a sphere. I mean, I thought you had photos a minute ago. Obviously, we've debunked them. You can't hear us debunking them. But obviously, with that in hand, you've now got hints that we've got a sphere Earth, have you? No, we've got measurements of a flat Earth, and that's where your globe claim comes from. So there's no hints. The claim of sphericity comes from those flat Earth measurements. The ones of Earth that's flat. So it definitely isn't the case that your reification of this mathematics has some sort of hints in it in reality. No, the measurements in reality are flat, mate. Maybe you didn't realise.
Thirdly, what about biblical references about the Earth not being flat?
Without causing any offence to Christians, who cares? We've got measurements of the Earth. We've got maps of the Earth. We've got navigation systems with respect to the Earth. And we've got angle measurements for the stars that you appeal to with non sequiturs that you are used to navigate around on the Earth when measuring it flat. So who cares what the Bible's got to say about it?
The Bible doesn't set out to teach anything about science. The Bible is not a science book.
I'm pretty sure there's plenty of Christians that would beg to differ. There's plenty of cause and effect reasoning laid down with
I didn't hear what
phenomena
he
in the
said.
Bible. He just doesn't know what science is. How can you decry what there isn't in the Bible if he doesn't know what the thing he's decrying it with, not having, is? You don't know what science is. How can you decry it not having any if you don't know what it is? You can't. You won't. There's plenty of Christians who disagree with you.
And this is not a judgment whether the Bible is true or not. This is
sorry, whether or not you, who doesn't understand what science is, say that there isn't any in the Bible is a complete non sequitur to whether or not the validity of the Bible is true or not. Why is it with these complete non sequiturs? These two things are in no way connected. It doesn't have any recipes for cheese sandwiches, so yeah, we can definitely question the validity of the Bible. What? Non sequitur much?
This is a judgment about the topic of the Bible. The Bible seeks to address the spiritual saga of fall of humanity. Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, the reality and the consequences of humanity's rebellion against God. We see Cain killing his brother Abel. We see also humanity's...
Well, he's got some substance when it comes to the Bible. He's obviously at least semi-learned when it comes to information from the Bible, because he's put some padding in for some of his claims. Completely non sequitur for Earth. I already decried this. Nevertheless, at least he's putting some padding in now.
Redemption by God. God calls Abraham. He fashions the nation of Israel.
This is the padding that you were lacking when you were talking about if night and day, then sphere Earth and that. Yeah, you need extra little bits to actually pad your claim. But it seems like the only padding you've got is from the Bible that you say isn't proving a flat Earth, and I say has no relevance when you've got measurements of the ground that we're standing on. Go ahead, Neil.
What is he going to tell me about Joshua chapter 10? Is he going to get into that?
I don't know.
If he's looking at up in space, right? Is he going to tell me that the sun stood still in the sky? Or is he going to tell me that God caused the earth to stop rotating?
That's not what it says, so maybe he's a heretic. We don't know. He's not doing that this minute, Neil.
Israel, and finally brings forth Messiah and humanity's future destiny in the golden city, far better than the Garden of Eden. So that's really what the Bible is. It's this timeline of God's creating us, we messing up, consequences of sin, God brings forth redemption, and we see God is going to bring the final judgment. He will judge sin, he will judge Satan, and he will make everything right. So with that said, the Bible does say things about the earth, the Bible does say things about the sun, the moon, but its main...
Maybe you will, Neil. We'll see.
...main message, like Jesus said to the Pharisees, search the scriptures, for they testify of me. In Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22, it does say, it is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out heavens like a curtain and spreads them like a tent to dwell in.
Okay. Circle, two-dimensional.
Sound like a ball to me.
Doesn't sound like very much like a ball to me. Is he appealing to this?
This verse describes God as sitting above the circle of the earth.
Yeah. That'll be a flat circle then. Circles are two-dimensional.
The term circle here can be translated...
Oh, you can change it, can you?
...as to suggest a round shape.
Circle is a two-dimensional flat shape. It's very clear. If it's a circle, it's a circle.
While the original Hebrew word used for a circle may not directly mean the sphere,
I wanted to mean sphere.
Oh.
It may not mean sphere in Hebrew. I take it to mean sphere.
The imagery of God looking down upon earth implies a round, encompassing view, which aligns more.
So how can you have an all-encompassing view of a sphere if you're looking down on it? If you're looking down on a sphere, you'll never have an all-encompassing view. This is self-contradicting.
Or
that
the
if you
earth...
look down on a two-dimensional object... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, if you're looking down on a two-dimensional object, all you would see was a line. So it has to be laying flat for you to see all of it.
Yeah, but they'll say God could do anything, so he could look down at a globular earth and have a full view of everything.
Yeah, God
That's
can
the
look...
way they'll twist it.
When God looked down on the circle of the earth that I take to mean sphere, he had 7 over 6 actually infinite over 6r refraction and can see his own arse.
Right. And down is with respect to the horizontal plane of reference. It's already assumed within the question that it's laying flat.
Yeah,
I
because
didn't catch that.
exactly.
You're right.
Looking down, perfect. Yeah, why didn't I focus on that straight away? Beautiful.
My goodness.
Is not flat. Job 26:7 says he stretches out the north over empty space. He hangs the earth on nothing. This verse is particularly noteworthy for its ancient insight into the nature of the earth in space. The phrase he hangs the earth on nothing suggests that the earth is suspended in space without any visible support. This aligns with our current understanding of the earth floating.
No, space would be something. Remember Neil deGrasse Tyson trying to describe nothing? Yeah. Yeah, nothing is nothing. Space is something. You're
this is all
my friend.
This is all they go to. Hangs on nothing. That means it's a globe in the middle of space because God said it.
God didn't say it. Copernicus
But
said
space
it.
is something.
Go ahead, John.
I was just saying, space is something. It's an area that gas could fill. That's what space is. It is something. The Bible doesn't say it sits on something without gas filling it. That's not what the Bible says.
All right, so when you're saying hangs on nothing, nothing's very different to an area of volume called space.
Yeah.
Floating in the
Remember
vacuum.
Neil deGrasse Tyson and his stoner friend trying to describe nothing, and they couldn't? Like, they kept on, well, if you talk about space, there's nothing in space. Well, yeah, well, space is something. You know, that you're not going to be able to describe the Earth sitting in space because space is something.
Vacuum of space, a concept that is consistent with the
Right, conceptual vacuums of space defy the second law of thermodynamics. They shouldn't be conceptual for a start. They're claimed to have photographs coming from them, but you're describing our conceptual mediums of vacuums. Dig it? You're off mute hot micing with screaming children in the background. Dig it? 76? Can someone serve mute him?
the earth being more like a ball than
Can someone serve a mute? Thank you.
and a pancake. What we do know is the Bible uses common, ordinary phrases
like round. I take this to mean sphere.
Like we do today.
No, today if someone said circle to me, I wouldn't just decide to reinterpret it as a completely different word. You do, because you've got a fundamentalist religious belief in second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuums that gas isn't filling, that we take photos from. I say we, your priests take photos from, so they say. You believe them, can't verify it, and it violates a natural law.
For example, we say the sun rises in the morning, or what a beautiful sunset. But we know that the sun does not rise or set. It is the earth that is rotating on its axis.
Go ahead, John. Axis, you say? What would you say, John?
I would say really lately that, yeah, you'll need a horizontal plane of reference to describe that rotation from.
Yeah, axis. Yeah, perpendicular to horizontal. You'll need a flat earth to describe an axis of rotation. Again, deriving spherical values in Keplerian orbital motions. We debunked it earlier, I won't rehash it again. But you'll need a flat earth to measure in order to derive the R value, to derive the orbital motion, to claim that you've got an earth on an axis, which will also be described with respect to a horizontal plane, to put in motion. You need quite a lot of flat earth measurement going on before you can claim any of these concepts in maths as being real in physical reality.
Giving the appearance to us on the earth's surface that the sun itself is rising. The following are the few verses that people who believe that the earth is flat use. Revelation chapter 7, verse.
Shout out to Unitox Femu. Today we are checking surface, but not word round. Your broken English is a bit like his Unitox Femu. But thank you for the super chat.
Verse 1.
Why is he
After
going?
these things,
Why is he going to Revelation 7 and not Genesis chapter 1?
Because it's his video, not yours.
I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, on the sea, or on any tree. This verse is often cited in flat earth discussions. However, the 4 corners of the earth is the common expression that denotes the entirety of the earth, similar to saying to the ends of the earth.
Okay. Globe doesn't have any ends. What are you babbling about? So your comparison is to say, oh, it's like going to the ends of the earth. No. There are no ends on a sphere. You just go round and round and round and round and round. But yet you're going to make a juxtaposition with the ends of the earth, which a globe doesn't have, when describing the 4 corners of the earth that the globe doesn't have either. Oh my God. What is he doing?
It's just another way of saying or referring to all directions, north, south, east, and west. And
What, you mean the directions? Go ahead, John.
No, I was just saying, I knew he was going to say north, south, east, and west. But that's all going to need a horizontal plane of reference to
Correct.
get all of those directions.
North, south, east, and west, like you'd have on a compass and drop on a map with respect to a horizontal plane. You'll need a flat earth for those directions, my friend. What are you babbling about? I mean, a moment ago you were referring to your axis of rotation and now you're using a flat earth only compass? No, don't be so silly. When talking about how it could be a sphere when it's corners of the earth? No, north, south, east, and west will not help you do anything other than prove how flat earth is.
And it does not imply a literal flat earth.
No, you'd be measuring it that way though, wouldn't you? If you're using a compass. What an idiot. Shout out to us so far. Says no Bible verse needed, just a word to prove the earth is flat. This word is F-A-C-E, face. In solid geometry, a face is a flat surface that's scientific proof. Well, about scientific proof, but thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate the support.
With 4 corners. Psalm 104, verse 5. He set the earth on its foundations, so it shall never be moved. The idea suggests...
Hold on. Let's just hear that again. On foundations... What are foundations again? Like cemented into the ground, never going anywhere. Okay, gotcha. Never be moved. Okay, that completely undermines your entire principle of an earth that moves then. You've just said that the only reason we see the sun transitioning from horizon to horizon is because it's actually the earth moving, and it just gives us the impression that a stationary sun is moving if you take the solar-centric system and not an entire heliocentric system into account. Okay, but that would mean the earth was moving. Should never be moved. That's a complete contradiction of what you just said in terms of earth moving. It can't be, according to this verse.
Yeah, but now he's going to tell you what God really means. Watch.
God means sphere.
That the earth is stationary and...
Yeah, it does absolutely suggest that it's stationary.
By some interpretations...
Not by some interpretations, by the literal meanings of the words.
Flat. However, in the...
No, stationary. Stationary. In this regard, it's not addressing its flatness. 4 corners, maybe. Stretch out, maybe. Tent, meh. Nevertheless, this is addressing how non-moving it is, because it's explicitly said, not moving.
The context of an ancient...
He'll appeal to a different definition, which is steadfast, and like how if you have a path and you are set on it and you are steadfast, but you're still moving, he's going to appeal steadfast to say that our orbit will never change around the sun.
Let's see.
Hebrew poetry, foundations, and not be moved are likely expressing stability and permanence.
Yeah. Or just not moving. Like, as opposed to moving. I just said it doesn't really require any further clarity. Am I missing something? Why does this need further clarification? Oh, of course. You need to change the meanings. So we need further clarity. If it doesn't mean what you want it to mean, it means not moving. It's explicit. It doesn't need any clarity.
Not literal scientific description of Earth's physical properties. As we already said, the Earth is suspended in space. It's not
suspended could also taken to be meaning not moving. You suspend something. Yeah? Stop its movement, you could also argue. None of these things infer moving.
Supported by any visible thing. The word of...
So what about foundations? No foundation. Just ignore that bit, right?
God holds the earth.
But
the other one...
To suspend something means that things can fall, right? If they're out of equilibrium. So the suspension requires a directionality for it to be suspended against.
Yeah, I suppose it would.
Oh, good one. Yeah, if it's not suspended, it's going to fall down.
One is Daniel chapter 4, verse 11 and 12. The visions of my head as I lay on bed were these. I saw and behold a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. The tree...
Height? Like, with respect to a horizontal plane?
Grew and became strong, and its top reached to heaven, and it was visible to the end of the whole earth.
Okay. I mean, again, if you're on a sphere, that's not possible.
These verses describe Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and it's highly symbolic. The image of the tree being so tall that it's visible from the entire earth is clearly not to be meant to be seen as literal.
Why not? I mean, I appreciate you could argue it's in his dream, but he's giving you his dream for you to interpret the words that he describes his dream with literally. He's not saying the words I used to describe the dream aren't to be taken literally, is he? The words are what they are. Why do they do this? Like, they're battling their own cognitive dissonance and saying, I will take it to mean something other than what it actually says.
Physical description of the earth's shape or size, but it's rather a symbolic representation of King's vast kingdom and influence.
Meanwhile, Earth is measured flat. None of this means anything. I couldn't give a toss. I'll take it at surface level because that's what we do. But we've done it for a few minutes. We're close to, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through his video, maybe 3/4 of the way through his video. And I said at the start, this is meaningless dross. Who cares what the Bible says in this respect when we have measurements of Earth and they're used for all of your claims of sphericity? Those flat Earth measurements are prerequisites for you to suggest that the angle measurements with respect to the sun and its movement, or the stars, creating an ephemeris, creating a flat plane for an equator, deriving spherical movements in Keplerian motions. All of it requires Earth being measured flat. So who cares? This is pie in the sky speculation based on a historic standard, not a measurement standard. I'm done. Does anybody else want to listen to the rest of this? It's only got a few minutes left and I don't really want to hear anymore. It's giving me a headache. Please let the videographer know, that's Vlad, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. So there is a link going by right now in the live stream chat. And while we are still live, because we're going to dissect a little of the dissection, if it were, as it were, after this call to action. So please go and let him know right now. You can see the link on screen now. Go into the live stream chat because it is running right this second. Hopefully will also be the case in one of the reruns, or if you're a member and happen to watch it in the members stream. But yeah, go and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a nice comment. Sharing the algorithmic love, even though he's a big YouTuber, I'm sure just like everybody, he still wants to grow. So hopefully that will help him in the algorithm and worry to respond and actually address the fact that Earth is measured flat. For him, us, and anybody measuring Earth, he'd understand that this standard that is actually presented with biblical historical standards is completely void and totally superfluous to requirements when we measure the damn thing. Earth, that is. It's flat. Shout out to Unitox Fermi for the super chat. All symbolism leading us to sphere apart reality. Okay, thank you for the super chat. Right,
Okay.
comments?
Let me say one thing real quick before you end. See, I don't like when they take these proofs and say these are what flat earthers say and not take you to the meat in the Bible that flat earthers use, like Genesis and Joshua chapter 10. This really annoys me.
Any other comments?
No, and you ask why they do this? Because they have to, Nathan. They have to lie about what the Word of God says to fit the pseudoscience that they're indoctrinated with and welcomed into the church.
No, I totally get it. Yeah, they have to. You've got to lie to Glurf. Anybody else got any comments on this? No? Okie dokie then. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Looks like I just got another super chat, so I'll read that out now. As so far, sorry to repeat myself, but when it's the Bible says face on earth, face is your FE measurement. Face is solid in geometry. It is a flat surface measurement. Thank you very much as so far for the super chat. Really appreciate all of the support. Once again, if you're watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering stream, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
A statement of fact. And it's put us in an odd position where people think we're just being, what is that called? Arrogant. And they want to be the one to pop that balloon, you know?
Yeah. That was one of the super chats was making was a point about the green-eyed monster, right?
Right, but I was putting it in context of why I think some flat earthers have a problem with, you know, what we're saying right now. Because we're drawing a lot of conclusions, and it's, I guess, getting on people's nerves. They see it as being arrogant.
Making conclusions is arrogant. Fill me in more.
I don't think so.
I'm not following. I am arrogant. But I don't see how that's got any relevance.
If you're confident in your position, right? If you're making a statement of fact, it can come across as being arrogant about your belief if you don't realize that they're making a statement of fact. You know, it's why Dunning-Kruger works so well on people is they look at the confidence of the individual instead of what they're saying.
I see. So what you're saying is they want a certain level of confidence when you express your belief in a humble way. And when we turn around and go, yeah, I don't care how this comes across. It's measured flat. That's the end of it. It doesn't matter how I say it. That's the end of your discussion with me in this regard. They're like, whoa, you need to be humble and express your belief much nicer. That's not a belief. That's why I don't care.
Right. But
good evening, everyone.
Evening.
But they're still in, what is it? It's, people describe it as a journey or wherever they're at, like Paula and AI were talking about yesterday, and where they're at within their own mind and understanding. But that's not the belief is not the same as stating a fact, you know? It's just not.
Yeah, we called this ages ago, didn't we? We were like, up until now, people have got their belief in flat Earth and they're quite confident in their belief. Now we're kind of taking, as weird as it sounds, we're kind of taking away flat earthers' belief. It's no longer like with Christianity, as much as I hate to draw this comparison, where it's a faith-based religion. It's taken on faith, isn't it? But this isn't. It's not like that anymore. So it's not going to give you that potentially warm, fuzzy feeling if you're appealing to it based on it's good to have faith. And I have faith in flat Earth. You don't need it. That's how it's measured. And suddenly it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this standard. Especially when you're saying it the way you are, you rude sod.
Yeah, and if it's a fact, your opinion doesn't matter on it. You know, whether you accept it or don't accept it has nothing to do with whether it is or isn't.
How are you doing, Arthur? Haven't heard from you for a while, or seen any videos for that matter. Maybe he was just saying hello and then disappeared. It was Arthur that said hello, wasn't it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, someone else with an Indian accent said hello earlier, or good evening. Who was it that said hello earlier? I want to take an ownership. Was there an Indian gentleman in the Discord that said good evening a second ago? I assume you wanted an in on the conversation. That's why I'm...
The guy that said hello left the call.
Oh, fair enough. Should have been more on it. I thought it was somebody we were familiar with, so I didn't make way for them. Oh well, next time I'll know better. It's me being racist and thinking all Indians sound the same. So yeah, just gonna keep banging the drum. Examples with that fresh ground flowers earlier were great, as long as they keep coming our way, with absolutely nothing in rebuttal other than to deny it's anything to do with the ground, which it's fundamental to. Great, that's the responses that people will be hearing, and they'll be shaking their heads regardless of what side of the argument they're on, either shaking their heads in shame or shaking their heads in disappointment.
Yeah, but it's troubling to me why flat earthers are going to Globers. Did you happen to see that it was a train wreck, the whole thing, but Rachie on Flatzoid?
Sorry.
Oh, forget, I couldn't even listen to it. It was wow, she's got a mouth on her, boy.
What do you mean?
I mean, she sounds like a truck driver. All I had to do was start beeping my horn.
Sounds like a truck driver. You mean she swears?
Yeah, so it was all about gas pressure.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what their mental block is.
Well, she has a belief that the Earth is rising up. It would need to be able to transfer some medium to rise up within. Therefore, you need space for this description. Yeah, she needs gas not to fill space as much as a heliocentrist.
Yeah, so she's a glober because she said, "What are you afraid of my globe proof? You're afraid of my globe proof. You don't want to hear it."
What proof did she have?
I don't know. I couldn't listen anymore. There was 5 people talking at once, and the people that he has on his panel, I don't know.
So
the only one that's audible is Michael Kahn.
So when we've got an opponent that doesn't want to hear it, literally, end quote, fresh grown flowers, all we're trying to do is reiterate the definition of an elevation angle to prove that it is with respect to Earth, because it is. But what they want to do is tell you that you don't want to hear or are scared of their globe proof. It's like, why isn't she reiterating it 15 times like I would do, so that you come away from that having heard her say it, so you can come back to us and go, her globe proof was... I mean, not like here where it's his flat earth proof was, well, I kind of know. It's just I was in the Discord server, and when he tried to put it to his opponent, the guy wouldn't shut up. It's really strange.
He brought up sulfur hexafluoride.
Okay, what about it?
Exactly. What about it? You're claiming that it's not gonna move like a gas because you released it into existing gas pressure?
Released it from what? Its container? That's the end of her argument.
Yeah. Yeah, over.
Sulfur hexafluoride
Over. They were
proves you
talking
can have
about
gas
if gas
pressure without
has
a
weight or
container.
not.
Where's your sulfur hexafluoride? Right here in this container. Oh, well done.
Yeah. That was the argument, whether gas has weight or not.
Hey, if you're listening to this, Rachie, yeah, you bring a wheelbarrow full of sulfur hexafluoride round from your place to my place, and then we'll accept your stupid garbage argument that sulfur hexafluoride proves to make. Oh, unless you want to put it on the back of a van in a container, like you'd have to, because gas needs that containment to be at pressure. It's a antecedent consequent relationship. That's why the examples with sulfur hexafluoride have got multiple containers in them.
Well, the wheelbarrow would still be a type of container. If she brought it in on a wheelbarrow, it wouldn't prove anything. She would need to be able to reach down in and grab a chunk of it and pick it up, pick the whole thing up, and walk around with it.
Yeah, but the thing is, does gas have weight or not? That's their argument. It's the same thing. But this is what happened to Rachie because she kept hanging around ballers. So what is she now? Now she's a baller. So all those early flat earth videos and demonstrations she did, she could just burn them now. She's a full-blown glober.
Yeah, but the vitriol and bullying that goes on in globe arenas is absolutely rife. The amount of videos I've seen from people in the globe community moaning about the viciousness of their own community. So if she thinks she's going to, leave a flat earth community that's generally quite welcoming of other flat earthers, in my opinion, more so than they should be, to, a really nice, friendly, accommodating... No, you're going into a den of thieves and liars.
Yeah, she might get beat up by Craig. Well, second thought, she might beat up Craig.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, the flat earth side isn't immune from moral depravity either.
Yeah, I completely agree.
For example, there are people promulgating the idea that specific flat earthers are actually immoral in themselves, liars at their core, serving deception, even in collusion with Flat Earth Society, the globe trolls themselves, like working behind the scenes to create a two-pronged attack where they present the globe troll arguments and really bad quote-unquote flat earth arguments in order to gatekeep people from the truth.
Yeah, we've said that. We've called them LARPers. That's actually happened, though. There are examples of people who are glurfers, that's globe earth proponents, coming here and putting forth crap flat earth arguments from the Feast of Nonsense so they can have a discussion with a different globe earth believer on the argument that they want to have. We've actually had that happen here. We've had to shut down LARPers.
Yeah.
The dead giveaway is, no, I'm a flat earther. Oh.
Yeah, but he was positioning it in the negative
light. The dead giveaway is, I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther.
Yeah, a lot of them will lie. It comes naturally to him, Neil.
No, but when you talk to them and try to correct them, then, no, I'm a flat earther. No, I'm a flat earther too. Yeah, I'm a flat earther. No, you're not.
I'd like to update my prediction in the next year, Neil. The hypersaturation of the flat Earth with the uptick in its interconnectivity, so more people coming online to be palatable to discussing the topic, is actually going to saturate it with so much nonsense that it'll be very hard to pick out the meat from the bones. And so much so, not only in that regard, but in the regard of established quote unquote people in the argument, that my new prediction, based on what's happened in the past 2 days here and also at politics, is that a lot of prominent flat earthers, quote unquote, or established, quote unquote, veteran flat earthers, meaning they've been the larger part of the decade, will rescind flat earth. That's my prediction within the next year.
Well, and go back to the globe.
What? Really?
Who cares? Why are you so... You're so concerned with the general consensus, Neil.
Hold on, wait. Because he said prominent flat earthers will rescind. That means you, Nathan.
No, it doesn't mean me.
What? Wow,
Although,
Neil.
I didn't want to bring this up.
Neil, I was clearly talking about you, Neil.
Neil, he's calling you a prominent flat earther. Suck that up.
Oh, that's good. I don't have 10 years in, though.
Let me tell you why I changed my mind.
I was about to ask that question. Why would you say that, AI?
So the past few days, there has been an uptick in people that I haven't engaged with since the early days, coming into my spheres of influence and basically just parroting sky-based arguments. You know, remember the other day we talked about the final experiment? And it's like, oh, if I could see the sun in Antarctica, oh my goodness, it's a globe again. Like a lot of these people, man, they're coming back with these arguments now. Just out of the woodwork, they're showing up. Yeah. And they're basically going back to these fallacious, can't be validated, sky-based arguments.
AI, I said that was going to happen last year. I said they're going to go back to the sky.
I've said this all along. You worry too much about what other people do in both ways. So they're not picking up on it quick enough. You can't control these things. You can just do what you do, which is tell people.
I do. I'm not worried.
If Jaron and Dave Rice and all the rest of it suddenly came out tomorrow as close.
It's for the show. For the show. Get with it. Think I give a shit about them, Nathan? Really? I'm hard enough. I'm trying to make money to stay on top. I really don't give a crap, but it's good for the show.
Okay, but yeah, I'm just saying for those watching that are like, oh no, my current guru has gone back to the globe. It's like, you're only worried about that because suddenly what challenges your belief in a flat earth? Yeah, that's all it'll do. For all the flat earth believers out there that need their guru by their side affirming their bias constantly, it'll be a tragedy. For anybody who watches me, let's say it was me that converted, none of my audience would give a crap. They'd be like, yeah, I still know it's measured flat. Doesn't matter what he says. And I've even said that. It doesn't matter what I think about it or whether I've done this process that we're detailing in argumentation. The fact that I haven't done it, if I was gone tomorrow, all the people who understand this argument could still go forth with the exact same argument, even if I said something completely opposite of it. Still holds true, in other words. So if you're reliant on a guru, that's a problem. You shouldn't need me telling you constantly that it's flat. You should know by now. And if you don't, then you're reliant on a guru and you are susceptible to sudden cognitive dissonance that, oh no, maybe Jaron was wrong. That it was no. He just didn't offer you any stone cold proof. I'm using Jaron as an example. I'm not suggesting Jaron will be the one to do this. It's just a name of someone well known to move along this idea that's been postulated by AI in hypothetical terms.
Well, I'm thinking more like just to have this ether, they may go back to a globe.
Remember back in the day when they were doing these alleged quote-unquote experiments where they were trying to figure out whether the Earth is revolving around the sun or some nonsense, or whether the ether exists or some nonsense, and then they're like, okay, whatever these results are, we kind of have to choose one or the other, or we have to make them an excuse, right, rather than just accept the results, right? It's kind of the same way now, right? A lot of flat earthers are in that same trichotomous choice where they're either going to accept Proposition A, accept Proposition B, or attempt to meld them together in some new proposition where it's one big gobbledygook story. when this
Meanwhile,
occurred in the
Earth is
past,
measured flat.
what do they do?
Yes, exactly, Neil.
Yeah, sure.
So who do you think it'll be?
Let's say that's the case, Neil.
Not going to name
Earth is
names,
quote
AI.
unquote measured flat to the end user, right? If Earth is measured flat to the end user, and that let's say that's a brute fact of reality at the end user level, okay? If I wanted to change your view about reality once you've accepted that brute fact, all I have to do is change your opinion on what happens between the designer of the software and the end user. So I would agree with you. Oh, of course, the end product looks like this. However, all the way the sausage is made works like this. And then I change your entire perception about reality, even though you accept the brute facts of reality from your point of view. It's actually pretty easy to do. A lot of religious systems, a lot of philosophical systems are based on that, where they concede the way you perceive reality is this. Then they go on to give you a lot of explanations of why your perception isn't the ultimate truth, right? It's not hard.
The easiest
Did
way to
anybody
do it
watch
is to
the
put a
Flatsoid?
fact into an if statement.
Yeah, they do that all the time too. Just change it back into an if statement. That's correct. But no, there is no if anymore.
Where's Brian been?
Making really good videos. Did you not see?
Yeah, but he's supposed to be here.
Supposed to be here, is he?
Absolutely.
There's other shows
We have a
besides.
union here.
Yeah, there's other shows. There's other shows besides FED show. You know that?
No. Brian's supposed to be here. Well, did you hear today when the guy came in and he was saying that Protofad, a Glober, told him that how did he phrase it, Nathan? How did he phrase it exactly? What did he say? That it's not accurate celestial navigation?
I don't know how he phrased it.
Yeah.
But the accuracy has nothing to do with the qualification of something.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall during that conversation. I want to see how they treated the Glober. I want to see if he was overtalked, if he was interrupted. I guarantee he was perfectly humble and listened to every word the baller had to say without interruption.
Well, in that case, it would be that Matthias was searching for affirmation bias, right? He thought that we had a belief and that he just needed to hear an argument to overcome our belief.
That's the way it sounds to me. Because I said, why are you doing this? Why?
Once again, whoever that was sharing their feelings about me, I appreciate it, rather than addressing my argument.
What's your argument? What's your argument?
Which is?
I've stated it the last 3 days. Have you not paid attention? I even clarified it even more today. Did you not pay attention, Neil? Nathan's already
There's
agreed
new
that he
people
hasn't
here.
paid attention, but yet wants to argue against
There's
it
new
anyway.
people
So
here, Matthias.
what's the point?
Matthias, you got a winning argument. There's new people. There's new people listening. So state it again. Are you scared?
No. Are you going to pay attention this time?
Is it that your argument is 3 dots make a angle? Is that your argument?
Well, and like I said, I even clarified it even more this morning, saying that whenever you're on a boat out in the middle of an ocean with the waves rocking the boat back and forth, it's going to be very difficult and inaccurate to get that horizontal so-called measurement.
I see. So you're saying
And
celestial navigation
like I
doesn't
said,
work?
talked to Dad. Well, like I said, I even talked to a guy proto that's actually done it himself instead of rather than just parrot what Google says.
So he's done it.
And haven't done
so
it.
he's done it. So he's put it into. So he's done it. We already did this, Matthias. You and I personally did this literally half an hour ago. So he's done it. So let me get Matthias. I've already covered this. He's done it. So it's done that way. But yet he's saying it'd be very difficult to do it this way because you wouldn't be able to do it with the horizon because of the rocking and that. Yet he's done it, undermining his own argument because you're appealing to him based on the fact he can and has done it. So what, you're saying it isn't done because the man who's done it says it's very difficult to do it accurately. Yet he's done it.
He's done it. Yet the end result is inaccurate because...
So they all die at sea. Nobody makes their way home with this process. It's useless and inaccurate then.
Nice straw man. I didn't say that.
It's the basis of the principle of the process and whether or not it's functional or not. Glober says inaccurate. And I'm saying, well, then they all died at sea because of how inaccurate it was. Oh, no, he and many others have used this process. It is used that way, even though you've had doubt cast in your mind by a Glober who says it would be a bit inaccurate to do the process he's done.
Right, that sounds like a if P then Q argument there, Nathan.
No, he's done it because it's done that way.
If P is if it doesn't work.
I didn't say this. I didn't put it into I didn't do this. What I said was if he's done it, it's done that way, and he's done it that way. You're challenging how it's done and the validity of how it's done based on a man who has done it, who says it's quite difficult to do and inaccurate. That's your argument.
I'm actually challenging the accuracy of it all.
So you're challenging celestial navigation. Yeah, I'm responding to you. Yeah, I heard. You're challenging the validity of celestial navigation then, aren't you?
Yeah, define celestial.
Yeah, so you're saying you don't believe in celestial navigation?
Define celestial for us all, Nathan.
Why?
What does that word mean?
I'd prefer
because you're navigating what? What are you navigating?
Sorry, okay. You don't think it's very valid because the guy who's done it and used it says it's difficult and inaccurate. Okay, perfect logic. Brilliant. Go in peace. Right. My racing car driver says there are no race car drivers because he's done it, he's experienced in it, and he's raced cars, but it's really difficult. Therefore, there's no race cars, says the race car driver. There's no celestial navigation because a man who's done celestial navigation says it's not very accurate, even though he's done it. That makes absolutely no sense, but you believe whatever crap you want, Matthias.
That's non sequitur. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because what you presented was a non sequitur. You didn't mention the word accuracy in the race car driving, did you? Which is the basis of my whole argument.
What
does accuracy mean?
The speedometer for my car isn't very accurate, but race cars don't exist.
Once again, why are we talking about race cars?
To draw the comparison, because a guy who's done this, you asked a question, keep talking, I would. Maybe it's one of those things you moaned about us doing. Why would we bring up race cars? To compare and contrast with your idea that a man who has done navigation with this... We're going to have to remove you, Matthias?
Like I said, it's a false comparison.
I heard you. You're going to keep chanting that it's a false comparison after asking me why we're making the comparison. Yeah. So you don't want to know why we're making the comparison. You want to tell me it's a false comparison.
If you say so, Nathan.
Yeah, it is.
Go ahead.
According to me, a perfectly legitimate comparison, but I'm not going to get to make it, it seems. You won't let me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear why he's making the comparison, and then I'd like to hear a rebuttal. That would be cool.
He won't tolerate that. I just explained that like 10 seconds ago. He won't tolerate it. He's talked through me 3 or 4 times. He's doing it right now as I explain that I can't do it. As I explain why I can't do it, he's doing the very reason why I can't do it through the top of me, just so we're all clear. I give up. I've won.
Okay, so
just to summarise for my audience, because of the fundamentalist chanting zealot known as Matthias, whose point is that because somebody's done this process, it can't be done. That's essentially his argument. Yeah, that's the end of the argument. I've won. He won't allow any rebuttal or further discussion to take place. He just keeps chanting through me. So I've won.
Yeah, your panel member asked me a question I was going to answer, and then you played victim. Well done. Thanks for.
Are you going to let me ask the question? Are you going to let me ask the question this time?
I was going to, but then Nathan cried I was interrupting.
No, you won't. No, you won't. You won't let me ask it.
I was his question and just want me to hand wave his question and let you ask the question, just bombard me with questions the rest of the show and don't let me answer? Hell yeah, that sounds like a great debate.
I try to ask you one question, you won't let me get it out. Nathan's trying to stop you, and then you won't let Nathan stop you. It's like, what's the point of even talking to you at this point?
Like I said, once again, one of the panel members asked me a question. I was going to respond, and then Nathan cried victim.
Right,
maybe Nathan was going to answer the question for me. I don't know.
He won't shut up. I've already covered this. He won't shut up. He won't tolerate it. We're getting further and further away from that point. That's why I already declared victory.
Yeah, it's obvious tactic.
Well played. Parade.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, throw your parade around your
little. Okay, we will do. Yeah, we won. Yeah, we point out Earth's measured flat, and you go to a guy who's performed the methodology and ask him how it doesn't work. It's utter garbage. It's completely nonsensical. It makes absolutely no sense to go to somebody and ask, hey, have you done this process? Hey, tell me how it don't work and why it's wrong, this process you've done. Because I can go back to the people who told me about it in the first place and tell them that you've done it. Therefore, you know exactly how wrong it is because you've done it. Right? That makes it makes absolutely no sense.
That's a question.
No, I asked Proto to see how accurate it was.
Yeah, we heard.
He agreed himself it wasn't very accurate.
It's the basis of our mapping. We heard it. So you're going to keep chanting and rinsing and repeating. I've got to server mute this line. I can't help it. If I'm going to respond to what he's already put to us 5 times, he won't allow it. But I want my audience to hear it. Yeah.
Someone please rescue the damsel in distress.
Is that all you've got? Meanwhile, the process does exist. It is performed, and the guy you appealed to has performed it. But you're appealing to him for how it isn't going to work because of its inaccuracy. No, it saves lives at sea. You say inaccurate, I say saves lives at sea. One of them might have been Protothad. Why was he using the system exactly? Why was he using this method? Was he lost? Did he need to save his life? Because if it's inaccurate and doesn't work, I'd assume he's dead.
Yeah.
So he's dead because he didn't make it back. Oh, no, he used this process of saving your life at sea by finding out where you are with this process. So he knows how to do it. That's why you're appealing to him. But he's not dead. So the inaccuracies didn't stop him finding his way home then? My question, the inaccuracies didn't stop him finding his way home then?
Obviously not, since I talked to him last.
So it's pretty much a done deal then. This is a process, it does work, and then all we need to really argue about isn't the inaccuracies that some globe believer, who you are appealing to, say, decry the method because of inaccuracies when he's used it to save his own life, by the sounds of things. So I'd say it's a pretty good method. I'm just questioning why a flat earther's challenging me on it. It just seems stupid to me. But there we go. That's life.
Not precise.
Yeah, A race car driver
it's not,
appealing to a
it's not a very,
speedometer to say speed doesn't exist. It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's just downright absurd.
yeah, what's absurding is, what's really absurd is why I asked someone that would actually either appeal to someone who's just read some stuff off Google search and appeared a little cartoon pictures. Well, logical. Someone that's
nobody did a Google search. 10th Man has shared with us his. I think he spent about $5,000 on navigation books. This baseless assertion shithead is going to tell my audience that we've just appealed to a Google search. What a wanker! Nah. 10th Man spent about $5,000 on navigation reference books. Stupid idiot! How dare you? You're just going to lay that baseless assertion and a lie at our door that we did Google searches to get this information. You got it from a Globe believer. I lean on the $5,000 worth of celestial navigation reference books that have been put in front of us by 10th Man. That's what I rely on, not bleeding Google search.
They have little.
Wait, those celestial navigation books.
They have little cartoon
global books.
Well, yeah. Have you read the Quran? Do you believe the Quran?
So is this a non sequitur? Or is it you appealing to a Google search, just being a lying shithead? Telling my audience that we did a Google search, just lying about us, making shit up on the spot and then appealing to the Quran? What, are you trying to get me shut down by making it as risque as possible? Taking the conversation somewhere where we get my show shut down? Rather than dealing with the fact you just lied about how we got our information? Because obviously you're not listening to us. You don't know how we got our information. You're going to Protothad for yours, so he can tell you how inaccurate the method that saved his life was. No, we didn't get it from a Google search. It's not about the Quran. It's about you lying about where we got our information from. Matthias, it's about you lying. You just lied to my audience about where we got our information from. That makes you deceitful. Remove him. He can't even have a decent conversation with us. He's got a broken, crappy mic, and he's a liar. Just lied about where we got our information from. Go away, Matthias. You're useless to us. Now you've annoyed me by lying, making crap up.
It does show that his microphone's got better discernment than he does, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Going to Protothad. Yeah, I just talked to him last night, and this is the problem. What are you hanging around them for? You think they got some? If somebody lied to you, why would you go back to that?
You're roboting now, Neil.
More. Oh, sorry.
What? You know, I would go to Dale Earnhardt and talk to him about, driving his race car, and he would say that odometers, they're really inaccurate, and therefore I know speed doesn't exist because he told me.
Epic.
That's
another false
acceptable.
Okay, Matthias, how is accuracy relevant to this discussion, please?
So you actually haven't went to asking this. You just know what it is already.
Can you drop and rejoin? Can you drop and rejoin, Matthias, please?
What AI asked is really the only thing that needs to be known. Why is he claiming that accuracy is relevant?
Mic check. Am I still roboting?
No, you're fine now.
Okay. Yeah, but that's the problem. Okay, go ahead, Matthias.
No, he needs to be kicked so he can reconnect.
What? Can you guys not hear me?
We can. You're periodically breaking up, that's all. You're being asked what the relevance of accuracy in this respect is.
Well, if you're wanting to make a measurement, you need to be pretty accurate, do you not? I mean, you just can't, pardon my French, but half-ass it.
It depends. Depends on the relevance of accuracy to the application. Right.
Yep.
So everything
what is
has
the relevance?
tolerances. well, just let me finish this sentence first. Everything has tolerance for practicable application, in which a swing from the absolute what you want versus what you're going to get isn't really going to affect the outcome to destroy the thing that you're intending to do to be done. Which is why Nathan said he arrived where he wanted to arrive, so it must have been accurate enough to arrive where he wanted to arrive. Therefore, it was sufficient. So the question is then back to you. Can you quantify this accuracy and make it relevant to your argument?
Well, like I said, I don't know how far out Proto Thad was in the ocean whenever he has claimed to do all this. And to me, it wouldn't take a genius to figure out which way east and west is, depending on without the sextant, because the celestial objects in the lights in the sky, they do always move east to west. I mean,
okay, that's fair. So let me ask this question to qualify the situation. Well, it seems to me that in certain extreme conditions, the accuracy is lost from being as accurate as it could be. And so what I would say is that, well, that doesn't mean that the measurement itself is bad. It just means that that instance of the measurement would be quote unquote bad. But it's not bad enough to make him not get home. So we still need to know, like, what's the point of this argument, dude?
the point is, it's not the measurement isn't very accurate according to the person that's actually done it.
Okay, fine.
And
Let's just put it in a
You're
scenario.
repeating yourself.
Let's just put it into a
I'm a
scenario for
truth
you,
seeker.
Matthias. Okay.
I want to have 100% facts, not half-assed measurements with calculations.
Okay.
Keep
I don't
repeating
accept.
yourself.
I got that the first time. Okay. So you and I are out at sea and we're lost. Okay? And we've got an almanac, we've got a timepiece, chronometer, watch that's accurate, and a sextant. Okay. Now, given that we are lost and it's just you and I, are you going to A, accept that I can establish our position and therefore find our way home? Or are you going to tell me, no, unless you take me to this exact coordinate, I'm staying here? Which are you going to do?
I'm gonna look at the stars. Is it day or night, by the way?
My question is, will you allow the process of celestial navigation to take place to find our way home, or will you say, no, I'm not prepared to move towards Brighton, it must be Kent. I don't care that we are in the middle of the ocean and we can't see land and we're nowhere near and we don't know where we are. Unless we get back to this specific town I live in, we're not moving in that general direction to make our way back to land because it's not accurate enough. I must get back to the exact location I want, otherwise I'm not doing it. Is that what you would say? Yes or no?
Nope. I would say I can determine east, west, north, and south just by looking up at the sky at the stars and which way they move within an hour or so, 30 minutes to an hour or so. Without the sextant.
So what are you going to do with that
Celestial
information?
navigation. You just killed the celestial navigation as you decry it. Yep. What's the matter with you?
Once again, attacking my character. Thanks.
No, he didn't attack your character. He said you appealed to celestial navigation to decry celestial navigation. That's what he said.
I said without the sextant. I can look up in the sky with my eyes and determine east-west within 15, 30 to an hour. Like I said, before leaving out, surely we know which direction we're going to be heading out.
So what you're saying is you won't accept the fact. So in conclusion, you won't accept that you're lost. So we've gone out. We knew where we came from. It doesn't matter that I say we're lost. You say we must know our direction, and you roughly know which way east is. Correct?
Right. Yeah. If you know your directions, then you're not lost. Basically.
Matthias, can I help you out logically here? It seems to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that your argument is, I can accomplish something a different way. Therefore, the way you're doing it is somehow invalid.
Yeah, my way is 100% accurate. No flaws.
Okay. So from our position in the ocean,
You just claimed that your general perception is 100% accurate. Holy crap, dude!
It's just arrogance,
like
purely
I said,
off
you
the,
can
where we were discussing arrogance earlier.
Anywhere.
This is pure off the scale arrogance.
Anywhere. I'm just saying, anywhere on the Earth with you just need a shadow to determine east and west, and some time.
So what, like an angle measurement
Anywhere,
with respect to
on land, on a boat.
Sorry, you just need a shadow for what? What are you going to do with it?
Well, as the sun moves east, you mark at the beginning. You
You're going to describe how the
point of the shadow.
You're going to describe the angle
15
change,
or 30
right?
minutes.
Sorry, you're about to launch into describing the angle change, aren't you?
Yeah, a visible angle that I can actually see with the shadow.
Right. So you've proved a flat Earth being measured. So you've just measured a flat Earth then.
What?
He doesn't understand it.
The sun cries celestial navigation. It's absurd. He's attacking an instrument as if it is celestial navigation. It's not. I don't.
I'm using a shadow.
Yeah. You've just had this. You just covered this with AI. So what your example stands true. Therefore, celestial navigation. No, rumpusing. Celestial navigation just doesn't hold true. Isn't useful. Isn't accurate. It's just. What are you going to do? You're going to write your book, Matthias's book on navigating if you're lost at sea is, well, you just stick a stick in the ground and get a shadow from it on a boat. And then you just watch the stars for an hour to figure out which way north, south, east, and west are. What next, Matthias? I'm writing this down as a book. I'm going to publish it. It's called Matthias's Fuckwittery.
You don't necessarily need a stick, Nathan. Where are you going to find a stick out on a boat? Thanks for that one, by the way. You can use anything for a shadow.
Yeah, fair enough. But can I work my lot? Can I work out my logic
he manipulated his audience by saying a stick on a boat.
What you said.
Okay, dude.
Whatever.
Okay. I'd like an opportunity to update my logical assessment. Okay, if you'll be so kind. So what we have is we have a decrying of.
I'm still wondering how the sun shadow is
so kind. I guess you're not going to be so kind, dude. I asked nicely, did I not? I mean, good grief, bro. Okay, so we have a decrying of the one method for it not being accurate. Then we have a claim on the other side that it's 100% accurate. So I would agree that it's 100% accurate that you're generally moving east. Good for you.
Yeah. Like I said before, I would even take out on a boat. I would know which direction I was heading to begin with.
Yeah, we got that. Your answer is you wouldn't get lost. Yeah, we got that. We got that the first 3 times. Your answer is I wouldn't get lost. Yeah, we understand that. And then when you do get lost, your answer is to watch the stars for an hour. Is that accurate? It's been put to you by AI?
Yeah.
How accurate is that?
100%.
So after observing the stars for an hour, you will be able to give us east 100% accurately.
Sure. They would do this. Well,
you stuttering, stupid buffoon. No, it couldn't be any less accurate. Your standards that you lay at us, when we've got chronometers and sextants and angle measurements and leveling your tool and making sure you know your height above the sea level so you can reference it for dip correction, this highly accurate methodology that's been developed has been decried as not accurate enough. Oh, well, what can we replace it with? Well, we can replace it with a stick on a boat and watching the stars for an hour. Totally accurate. Perfectly reasonable juxtaposition you got there, Matthias, as you rant through me berating your stupidity. Yeah, of course you're going to rant through my stupidity, your stupidity being reiterated by me. Of course you are. Yeah, not accurate enough, you say. Oh, right, well, for better accuracy, we'll sit on the boat for an hour and watch the stars. Because that's super accurate. We're just watching them for an hour, and then we'll know where east is. Highly accurate, says this dickhead.
That's your lights in the sky always move east to west.
Dickhead, that's not accurate. Watching the stars for an hour isn't going to give you an accurate east. The notion that you've put forth is garbage. Meanwhile, you're putting it forth to decry the extensively used and established methodology known as celestial navigation. That's what you've decried it with, because you say, A, I wouldn't get lost, and B, if I did, I'd sit and watch the stars for an hour, because that's highly accurate.
Objection. I have an objection to raise. So the statement, the stars move east to west, west to east, whatever you want to say,
No, it's east
is
to west.
inaccurate in itself. Okay, let's say that's the case. That's inaccurate in itself. They don't simply move east to west. There's more to it than that. So your statement itself is inaccurate.
What, do they move in a circle?
Who cares? Why do you want to brace against us with this
Well,
garbage, Matthias? Why are you bracing against us? And a well-known, well-documented methodology that's used widely on planes and boats. It's used. They have sextants on aeroplanes. They're standard issue. But yet you want to decry it in favour of this complete garbage that makes no sense, has no accuracy to it. Why are you bracing against this? I don't get it.
So you don't like my way of...
No, it's shite, you stupid man. What part of shite don't you get? Sitting and watching the stars from a boat for an hour won't establish your position, won't give you a fix, won't find your way home. It's utterly retarded. Do I not like it? When you're bracing against a standard method that's established and used with that, yeah, I don't like it one bit. It's utterly absurd. It's your stupid ramblings.
Yes. Yay, stupid again. Another personal attack. No argument.
Your argument that you watch the stars for an hour and then know where east is because you wouldn't get lost in the first place is stupid. It's a stupid declaration.
Yeah, just like your dad.
Yeah, you saying that celestial navigation's not accurate, but if I sit in a boat for an hour, that's really accurate. Where's this method documented? Is it the Matthias method that you've published? Oh no, meanwhile, there's plenty of books on celestial navigation, the thing you're decrying with this crap that isn't published, that's stupid. Yes, it is stupid. You have said it.
Right. So Earth is measured flat, yet you and your panel can't agree on...
Yeah, so it's just an attack on me and the panel. That's basically all we've got here. An attack on us. You don't like us. That's basically what this is all about. Doesn't matter that celestial navigation proves Earth's measured flat, because it's not accurate enough and I can watch the stars for an hour. Stupid nonsense from a stupid man.
If Earth is measured flat, you surely have a map, Nathan.
All of them? They're all flat?
All flat. So go on... Yeah, so go on Google and...
Sorry, all maps are flat. Are you going to... What, now it's go to Google? Is Google a map? I'm thinking no. I'm thinking that's a computer program. Maps are made of paper.
Right. Yeah.
Right, and they're all flat. So you ask me for a flat map, I give you all of them. All in, all chips. What have you got?
They're all different. How about...
Sorry, they're all flat. All different. I didn't say they weren't all flat. Yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure I put all my chips in and you seem to have gone onto a different table and raised a different bet with different cards on a different table. No, they're all flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because they need to work with elevation angle measurements with respect to a parallel plane. If you're establishing it with a bubble, that would be a flat plane. Or measuring it with respect to the horizon, that's a flat plane. Yeah, that's why they're all flat. They have to be. To work with celestial navigation and latitude and longitude, the grid that's derived from the same process of measuring angles to stars, to create those grids on those flat maps.
Yeah, they're all flat and they're all different.
Yeah, they all use the grid that's been derived from circles of equal elevation measurements of Polaris in a different way to distort the maps to claim that they've come from globe projections. Meanwhile, the measurements that create the grid that is presented differently on different maps is measured flat with Polaris to create the grid. Right. All maps are flat.
Right, and how...
in no way... He's just got no humility. There is absolutely no way whatsoever that this crackpot who has told me, give me a flat map, is going to acknowledge the fact that he's challenged me to do something and I've given him every map that exists. And he hasn't acknowledged it. He's still going to challenge us, because that's really what he's about. He's not about acknowledging how the maps are all flat. Why are they all flat? Well, because you need to measure Earth flat to work with them, with angle measurements off a flat plane. None of that's getting acknowledged. It's just another attack on us.
Yeah, you didn't acknowledge that all maps are different, which makes something very inaccurate.
Yeah, I did. I acknowledged it and said they're different in terms of their presentation of the grid system known as latitude and longitude. I absolutely addressed it. They're all still flat, though. They have to be to work with elevation angle measurements. I've said it 5 times. You haven't addressed that.
Yeah, you chanted it.
Yeah, because it's a fact. They all are flat, Because they all work with elevation angle measurements off a flat plane. That's why they're all flat. You haven't addressed it. You've just told me I've chanted it.
I'm saying it's not accurate.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, nobody's finding their way round with maps. Your rebuttal is maps are useless. Yeah? No, people use maps and they find their way home and they do use them with elevation angle measurements. That's why they're all flat. They're not useless or nobody would have any maps. They would never be used. Your rebuttal's crap.
Well, I'm just saying it would be...
You're just saying garbage, mate. You're stupid. And I'm sick of hearing your stupid voice because all you're here to do is challenge me, as opposed to accept and understand or even research the process that is required for the flat maps that you challenge me with. Yeah, they're all flat. They all use circles of equal elevation. That's how these maps function. They're all using the same grid systems. That's why they're different, because people lay out the maps differently to infer that the distortions are as a consequence of a globe projection. I covered every single aspect of what you said. You chanted through every word I said.
Distortions, you say? Huh.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're still flat and still function with areas of equal elevation measured off a flat plane.
That are not accurate. That are not...
So back to nobody needs to use maps. They're not accurate. If you're out in the market for a map, don't buy one. Matthias says they're not accurate. So maps are useless for finding your way around then, according to the Matthias argument in this principle. No, Matthias. Maps are widely used. I wonder what people use those maps for. Oh, yeah, finding their way around. What's that you say in response? Not accurate? Oh, well, we'll all give up on map use because you're a clown. That's your rebuttal, is it, clown shoes?
Right. How is he judging the accuracy if there is no map? If there's no map that's accurate, how are you judging the accuracy of those maps?
To me?
I know the answer, John. I can answer. Matthias can't answer, but I can.
Every statement that I have.
Yeah, all you're doing is bleating and playing a victim. So let's just remove this bitch from the conversation, because all he's doing is moaning about how he's being treated as opposed to responding. Oh, what was that? That sounds similar to what he charged us with earlier. Oh, you're bleating about your treatment. Yep. I just put you on server mute because I couldn't give a shit. Go ahead, AI. Answer John's question that was going to get...
Yeah, I want to answer John's question. So he wanted to know the benchmark of accuracy by which we could determine all those other things he asked. Well, he already told us. By his standard, him looking at the sky for an hour is 100% accurate. And from that, you can benchmark all other things. There you go.
I just peed on myself a little bit.
I'm so happy for you.
Me too. Urination upon oneself is the best celebration one can have. With that, though, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hit me up on Ko-Fi and PayPal and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.